For thousands of years, the ancient land of Persia has whispered secrets, secrets buried beneath its sands, hidden in its ruins, and encoded in its mythology. But today, those mysteries face an uncertain fate. As the specter of war looms over the region, the very essence of Persia's past could be erased forever. What could we lose in the chaos of conflict? What secrets might vanish into the flames? From forgotten cities to sacred relics, the remnants of an ancient empire hang in the balance. So sit back, relax, and join us as we uncover the ancient Persian mysteries that could soon be lost to history. The ruins of Persepolis rise from the Iranian plateau like the ghost of a forgotten empire. The stone remnants of grand palaces, towering columns, and intricately carved reliefs stand as a silent testament to the power of the Achaemenid dynasty, which ruled from 550 BC to 330 BC. Once, this majestic city was the center of the Persian Empire, an architectural marvel that echoed the opulence and might of King Darius the Great and his successors. Today, however, it is a silent monument to a civilization lost to time. But beneath the sun-scorched surface of Persepolis lies more than what the eye can see. Hidden chambers, sealed passages, and forgotten corners beckon with the promise of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. In the heart of this ancient city, beneath the grandeur of its known structures, there may still be secrets waiting to reveal themselves, a shadowed history, long obscured by centuries of war and decay. The ruins of Persepolis have been studied, excavated, and documented for over a century, but much of the city's deeper secrets remain locked away. Scholars have long speculated about the hidden chambers beneath the surface. Some argue that these chambers were simply functional spaces, perhaps used for storage or as living quarters for the royal family's servants. Others suggest that these subterranean passages could have served a more mysterious role. Perhaps they were used in royal ceremonies or held sacred objects of untold importance. One of the most intriguing features of Persepolis is its vast, unexplored underground areas. Some chambers, like the ones beneath the Apadana Palace, were clearly meant for more than just the storage of goods. The design of these spaces is complex, with walls adorned in intricate carvings that seem to tell stories, or perhaps conceal them. These areas, carefully sealed for millennia, may hold the remnants of royal rituals, hidden treasures, or even clues to the political intrigue that once defined the courts of Persepolis. Among the most perplexing elements of Persepolis are the unusual tunnels that run beneath the city. While some of these passages have been partially mapped, their full extent remains a mystery. What were they used for? Some historians suggest that they were part of an elaborate network for the royal family to move between different palaces and important locations without being seen by the public eye. Others propose that they could have been used for more esoteric purposes, rituals that required secrecy, or perhaps even the concealment of knowledge so powerful that it had to be hidden away. There are also persistent rumors of chambers that remain completely untouched by modern excavation. Some have speculated that these chambers could hold the long-lost treasures of the Achaemenid kings, gold, jewels, and precious artifacts taken from across the ancient world. According to some, the chambers might even contain documents that could provide insight into the lost history of the empire, revealing details about its downfall, the internal politics of its rulers, or even religious practices that have been lost to time. However, these theories remain just that: speculation. Archaeologists have yet to uncover definitive evidence of such treasures or hidden knowledge. The deeper layers of Persepolis remain largely unexplored, and many of the existing structures have been heavily damaged over the centuries, leaving only fragments of what once was. Yet, the allure of what might still lie beneath the ruins is undeniable. The city's architecture is filled with symbolism and imagery that seems to reach far beyond the empire's political goals. Could there be a deeper, more spiritual significance to the city's layout? Could there be mysteries that go beyond mere political power and wealth? The unanswered questions about the hidden chambers of Persepolis only add to its mystique. What knowledge was hidden in those dark spaces? What secrets do the carvings on the walls really mean? And most importantly, what could the ancient Persians have known that we have yet to uncover? As we stand before the ruins today, gazing upon the remains of a once great civilization, we are left with more questions than answers. The story of Persepolis is far from over, and as new discoveries continue to unfold, the mystery of its hidden chambers may one day reveal truths that have been obscured for millennia. For now, all we can do is wonder, what still remains beneath the dust of the ages, waiting to be found? As we turn from the forgotten chambers beneath Persepolis, we find ourselves journeying to another enigmatic site, the tomb of Cyrus the Great. Located in the heart of the Iranian plateau, near the ancient city of Pasargadae, this simple yet monumental structure has captivated scholars and explorers for centuries. A tomb that holds not only the remains of one of history's most influential rulers, but also secrets that have eluded us since the tomb's construction more than 2 millennia ago. At first glance, the tomb appears deceptively humble. A rectangular stone base sits atop a raised platform, its stone walls weathered by time, its roof a small chamber with a lid-like covering. It stands in stark contrast to the grandiose mausoleums of other ancient kings. And yet, there is something undeniably majestic about its simplicity. Perhaps it's the serene location, perched amidst a field of ruins, or the knowledge that this is the final resting place of a man whose empire once stretched from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River. Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, was a ruler of unparalleled vision. His legacy includes not only the expansion of his empire, but also the establishment of one of the first declarations of human rights, the Cyrus Cylinder, which praised his tolerance and respect for the customs of the people he conquered. But despite the grandeur of his achievements, the mystery surrounding his tomb has only deepened over time. What lies within this modest structure? And why has it remained so mysteriously untouched by history? The tomb itself is surrounded by a cloud of theories and unanswered questions. While it is widely accepted that Cyrus the Great was buried here, the exact nature of his tomb remains an enigma. Archaeologists have not discovered any definitive evidence of his body inside, nor has there been any indication of the treasures that might have accompanied him in death, as was customary for rulers of his stature. Some believe that the tomb could have been looted over the centuries, its contents stolen or destroyed by invaders or conquerors. Yet, others argue that the tomb was always intended to be minimalistic, reflecting the king's own philosophical leanings towards simplicity and restraint. Some scholars have suggested that the tomb of Cyrus the Great might not be a traditional burial site at all. A number of ancient texts, including Greek accounts, speak of the tomb's grand appearance and the inscription that once adorned its walls, describing Cyrus as a great and benevolent ruler. But the tomb's design is unusual for its time. The structure's lack of detailed decoration and the absence of any monumental inscriptions raise questions about its intended purpose. Was it meant to house his physical remains? Or was it a symbolic gesture, a monument designed to commemorate the man rather than the body? One particularly intriguing theory, which has been suggested by some fringe scholars, posits that the tomb could contain more than just the remains of Cyrus himself. Could there be hidden chambers beneath the tomb? Perhaps a vault containing sacred objects, royal documents, or even the lost treasures of the Achaemenid dynasty? Despite multiple excavations, no substantial evidence has been found to support this theory, but the idea remains compelling. The idea that Cyrus's tomb may still hold secrets is tantalizing, especially when we consider that the site was left relatively undisturbed for so long. Moreover, the location of the tomb itself raises further questions. Pasargadae was a city of great importance, but over time it faded into obscurity, much like the tomb that lies at its center. Why was it built so far from the later centers of power, like Persepolis? Some have speculated that it was intentionally placed in a remote location to keep it hidden from potential invaders. Others believe it could have been a symbolic gesture, representing Cyrus's desire to remain close to the land he once ruled. The relationship between the tomb and the political climate of the time is also open to interpretation. Did the tomb reflect a desire for privacy, or was it part of a larger, more complex narrative surrounding the succession of the Achaemenid rulers? Was it meant to symbolize the foundation of an empire, one that would span vast distances, or did it speak to a more personal, intimate side of Cyrus that history has largely forgotten? As with so many ancient mysteries, the true nature of the tomb of Cyrus the Great may never be fully understood. What we do know is that it continues to stand as a symbol of his lasting influence, a monument that has defied the ravages of time. And yet, the question remains: what secrets lie within its weathered stone walls? Is there something more hidden beneath the surface? Some truth yet to be revealed about the life, death, and legacy of one of history's most enigmatic rulers? Perhaps, in the shadow of modern conflicts, the tomb may once again become a focal point of mystery and discovery. But for now, we can only wonder: what lies beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? And as time marches forward, will the secrets of Cyrus the Great remain locked away forever, or will we one day learn the truth that lies within? As we shift our focus from the tomb of Cyrus the Great, we turn our attention to a place that, like the ruins of Persepolis and the tomb of the Achaemenid kings, hides a story buried beneath layers of time and water, a city lost to the depths of Lake Urmia. Situated in northwestern Iran, this vast saltwater lake once served as the lifeblood for the region, but it's the secrets submerged beneath its waters that continue to captivate those who dare to explore its mysteries. Lake Urmia, once one of the largest saltwater lakes in the world, has seen its waters recede dramatically in recent decades. Environmental change and human intervention have left the lake's vast, shimmering expanse shrinking, revealing hints of something much older beneath the surface. A long-forgotten city, swallowed by time and the changing landscape. But is it truly a lost city? Or is there more to the story than we've yet uncovered? It's said that the lake itself is no stranger to myth and legend. Ancient accounts, though sparse, describe how settlements along the lake thrived for centuries, flourishing thanks to the rich natural resources it provided. But with the gradual rise of the water levels and the shifting terrain over time, many of these cities eventually succumbed to nature's slow, inevitable embrace, vanishing beneath the waves. Yet the city hidden beneath Lake Urmia remains more enigmatic than any other. The first whispers of its existence came from local legends, tales of a great city that once stood proudly on the shores of the lake, its inhabitants living in harmony with the waters, until an unknown catastrophe caused it to disappear beneath the surface. Ancient Persian texts and oral traditions speak of a thriving settlement in this region long before the rise of the Achaemenids, a city known for its advanced culture, architecture, and trade. But these accounts are fleeting, scattered fragments of a forgotten time. What happened to this city? Why did it disappear? And what lies beneath the salt-crusted surface today? Archaeologists and explorers have long sought answers. Submerged ruins are visible at the edges of the lake when water levels are low enough to reveal their outlines, and sonar scans of the lake bed have detected structures beneath the water. Some of these formations resemble ancient roads, plazas, and even the faint outline of buildings, suggesting that there is indeed a city waiting to be uncovered. The structures seem to bear the marks of advanced engineering, with meticulous planning evident in the design and layout. But these are just fragments of a much larger story. One of the most puzzling aspects of the submerged city is its apparent age. Some researchers believe it could date back to the early Bronze Age, around 3000 BC, long before the first Achaemenid dynasty. If these dates are correct, this would place the city's existence at a time when the Persian plateau was still in its formative years, well before the region's famous empires took shape. Could this city have been one of the earliest urban centers of the region? And if so, what role did it play in the greater historical narrative? Theories about the city's disappearance are equally varied and speculative. Some historians suggest that the city was abandoned due to natural disasters, perhaps a catastrophic flood, an earthquake, or even a dramatic shift in the course of the Euphrates River, which would have altered the region's water sources and ecosystem. Others propose that it was a deliberate act of destruction, that the city was flooded or submerged intentionally to protect it from invading forces or political unrest. This theory suggests that the city's inhabitants may have deliberately chosen to sink their home, either out of desperation or as part of a larger strategic plan to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. However, these explanations raise more questions than they answer. If the city was deliberately submerged, then why did it remain hidden for so long? Could its eventual discovery be the result of a natural shift, one that has only just begun to reveal the city's location? Some speculate that the ongoing environmental changes, particularly the drastic reduction in the lake's size, could have triggered the slow revelation of the submerged city, which may have lain undisturbed for thousands of years. But if the city was indeed hidden intentionally, could there be more to this act than we understand? Was there something within the city, perhaps a treasure or a sacred relic, that its creators wanted to protect? Or was it the knowledge and culture of the people themselves that was at risk of being lost? Another intriguing theory revolves around the city's role as a center of commerce or spirituality. Was it a trading hub, situated at a crossroads between ancient civilizations in the Mesopotamian basin and the steppes of Central Asia? Or did it serve as a religious center, perhaps linked to the ancient Zoroastrian faith, which first emerged in the region around the time this city might have flourished? Could the city have been the home of ancient priest-kings, whose influence stretched across the plateau and beyond? The absence of written records leaves us with only the faintest clues, but the grandeur of the city's possible existence suggests it played a significant role in the history of the ancient world. Despite the tantalizing possibilities, no conclusive evidence has yet been found to confirm the identity of the lost city beneath Lake Urmia. Excavations are difficult and costly, and the fluctuating water levels make it challenging to access the submerged ruins in a consistent way. As the waters of the lake continue to recede, more of the city is likely to be revealed, but whether this will provide answers or raise even more questions is uncertain. The mystery of the lost city beneath Lake Urmia is far from solved. Each new discovery raises more questions, and every theory about its origins and disappearance opens new avenues of speculation. What civilization once called this city home? What mysteries might it hold, buried beneath the salt and the water? And, most importantly, why has it remained hidden for so long? As we consider these questions, we can only wonder, what else remains beneath the waters of Lake Urmia, waiting to be discovered? And as the region faces uncertainty, could this hidden history be at risk of being lost forever? Only time will tell. As we continue our journey through the rich tapestry of ancient Persia's hidden histories, we arrive at a place where the past once whispered through the very walls of its palace, a place where the written word could have been the key to unlocking some of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. We are talking about the royal archives of Susa. Nestled in the heart of the ancient Persian Empire, Susa was not only one of the empire's most important cities, but also a center of administrative power. As the capital of the Elamite kingdom, and later a key city under the Achaemenid dynasty, it served as a hub for royal decrees, legal documents, and imperial correspondence. But buried beneath the grandeur of Susa's ruins lies an even more enigmatic feature: its vast royal archives, which have remained the subject of both intrigue and mystery for centuries. The discovery of these archives in the 19th century was nothing short of extraordinary. Among the ruins of the palace, archaeologists uncovered thousands of clay tablets and inscriptions, many of which were written in cuneiform, a script that, even by today's standards, represents one of the oldest forms of written language. These tablets, many of which date back to the 6th and 5th centuries BC, offered a rare glimpse into the inner workings of the Achaemenid Empire. They contained royal decrees, tax records, lists of officials, military orders, and letters sent between rulers and their governors. In essence, they were the paperwork that helped maintain the vast empire that spanned from the Indus Valley to the Mediterranean. But for all the knowledge contained within these tablets, there is still so much we don't know. The archives of Susa are vast. Much of what has been discovered is still being translated, and countless other tablets remain in storage, yet to be properly examined. What's more, the surviving records only scratch the surface of what may have been stored within the royal archives during the height of Susa's importance. What other documents, perhaps more personal or more sensitive, might have been hidden away or lost to time? The tablets that have been translated so far have revealed much about the logistical side of the Persian Empire. We have seen how taxes were collected, how military campaigns were organized, and even how Persian kings communicated with their subjects, often through detailed edicts written in the cuneiform script. But buried within the remains of Susa's archives are also fragments of letters, diplomatic agreements, and records of the ancient world's most celebrated conflicts, battles that shaped the history of not only Persia, but also the broader ancient Near East. One of the more curious elements of the archives is the presence of diplomatic correspondence. Among the records, there are letters sent by Persian kings to other powers, such as Babylon, Egypt, and even far-reaching parts of the Mediterranean. What is most fascinating, however, is the tone and content of these letters. They are not merely administrative documents, but speak to a sophisticated diplomatic culture, where alliances and enmities were carefully managed through written words. This exchange of letters was not just a way of governing an empire. It was an art form, a way of preserving the legacy of the kings through their correspondence with other great rulers. But despite the importance of these records, there are still many unanswered questions. Some of the most significant gaps in our understanding of the Susa archives relate to the contents that are missing. The Persian Empire was a sprawling political entity, and the royal archives were a critical tool in maintaining control over it. So what else might have been contained in the archives that has yet to be found? Could there be entire volumes of historical records still buried beneath the ruins of the palace, their content waiting to reveal more about the inner workings of the empire? Beyond the content of the tablets themselves, there is also the question of the archive's fate. Susa was sacked and destroyed several times throughout history, with the most significant destruction occurring during the conquest of Alexander the Great in 330 BC. After Alexander's forces stormed the city, much of its grandeur was lost to the flames, and with it, potentially countless scrolls, records, and other precious artifacts that may have been kept in the royal archives. Did these treasures of ancient knowledge disappear in the blaze, or were they hidden away in secret chambers, never to be found again? Moreover, there are those who believe that some of the knowledge contained in these archives could have been intentionally erased or lost. Was there information hidden within the royal documents, perhaps about the ruler's true intentions or secret plans, that could have been considered dangerous if it were ever uncovered? Could the surviving records be incomplete, deliberately edited to conceal certain truths? The notion of a lost history, one that might have been deliberately obscured or forgotten, adds an eerie layer to the already mysterious nature of the archives. Some fringe theories go even further, suggesting that the Susa archives could contain information that reaches beyond the typical scope of ancient politics and administration. Could there be references to esoteric knowledge or even ancient technologies that might challenge our understanding of the ancient world? Some have speculated that the archives could contain clues to the lost wisdom of ancient Persia, wisdom that could explain their remarkable architectural feats, or even hint at technologies far ahead of their time. But without the full content of the archives available to us, such theories remain speculative at best. The role of the archives in Persian history is undeniable, and yet the questions surrounding them only seem to grow. As more tablets are translated, we gain a clearer understanding of the Persian Empire's internal structure, but we remain no closer to solving the greatest mysteries of Susa's royal archives. What secrets lie within the unread tablets, tucked away in the dust of the ancient palace? Are there lost records that could shed light on Persian society, culture, or politics in ways we never imagined? And as the modern world faces political and environmental upheavals, the preservation of these ancient records becomes more crucial than ever. Could the archives of Susa, along with the rest of ancient Persia's legacies, be threatened by the very conflicts that shape the region today? As history slips further into the past, the mysteries of the royal archives seem more fragile, as if they, too, might soon be lost to the ages. What else, if anything, still lies hidden, waiting to be revealed? Only time and perhaps further discoveries will tell. As we continue our journey through the forgotten corners of ancient Persia, we arrive at a site that has long been shrouded in mystery, a place where layers of history lie buried beneath the earth, hidden from view. This is Rey, an ancient city situated just to the south of modern-day Tehran, in a region once known as Rey Castle. Rey, one of the oldest cities in the world, is today a relatively quiet area, overshadowed by the bustling metropolis of Tehran. But beneath the city's surface, beneath the modern streets and urban sprawl, lie the remnants of a past that stretches back thousands of years. Rey's significance as a political, religious, and cultural center was immense in antiquity, and its ruins still offer glimpses into the past. But there are deeper secrets to this city, secrets that remain hidden, tantalizingly out of reach. Rey's history spans across several millennia, from the early Elamite period to the rise of the Achaemenid Empire and beyond. Its strategic location at the crossroads of ancient trade routes made it an important city throughout Persian history, serving as a key outpost and hub of commerce. The city was known as a seat of power, and some ancient texts even refer to it as a royal city, integral to the formation of what would become the Great Persian Empire. But the most compelling mystery surrounding Rey lies in what has been hidden beneath its surface. Archaeologists have long known that the area surrounding Rey Castle, once a fortified royal residence, is rich with ancient ruins, remnants of temples, palaces, and fortifications that speak to the city's once grand stature. Yet, there is a much darker, less visible side to Rey's history. Beneath the surface, there are whispers of entire cities lost to time, swallowed up by the earth and perhaps even forgotten by those who once lived there. These hidden cities are not just the stuff of legends. They have long been suspected to lie beneath Rey's streets and surrounding landscapes, their locations marked only by vague historical accounts and archaeological anomalies. Some ancient sources suggest that Rey was built atop older, more mysterious settlements, cities that were perhaps destroyed in antiquity, their names and stories buried with them. This raises an intriguing question. What might have been lost beneath the foundations of Rey that we have yet to discover? The most notable of these hidden cities is said to be the ancient settlement of Rege, which once stood proudly near the present location of Rey. According to ancient texts, Rege was a city of great importance, serving as a cultural and political center in the region for centuries. Rege's significance is noted in various ancient sources, including the writings of Herodotus and Strabo, who describe it as a prosperous city under the Achaemenids, long before the city of Persepolis rose to prominence. But despite its known importance, no substantial archaeological evidence has ever definitively identified the exact location of Rege. Some scholars suggest that Regi and Re are one and the same city, two names used for different periods of its long history. Others believe that Rege could have been an older settlement, whose remains were gradually absorbed by the growing city of Re. This theory is supported by the evidence of numerous ancient structures found scattered throughout the region, many of which suggest multiple layers of occupation. Were these layers the result of a gradual urbanization of an older settlement, or were they built upon a hidden city that lay below the surface, waiting to be uncovered? Archaeologists have unearthed numerous ancient artifacts in the region, including pottery, inscriptions, and tools that suggest the presence of a thriving, advanced civilization. But there is still much that remains unexplored. Could there be entire underground sections of the city, hidden tunnels or chambers, waiting to be discovered? Some have speculated that the extensive network of underground passages that exists in parts of Re could lead to hidden cities buried deep below ground, perhaps as a result of deliberate construction or the collapse of earlier structures. These passages, some of which are believed to have once served as catacombs or sacred spaces, could hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of the city's past. Adding another layer of intrigue are the legends that have persisted throughout the centuries. Some local stories speak of lost cities buried under the earth, of entire neighborhoods and palaces swallowed by the sands of time. The idea of cities disappearing or being deliberately concealed is not uncommon in Persian folklore, and the possibility of such cities lying beneath Re has been speculated for generations. Some have even suggested that these lost cities could have been intentionally hidden to protect them from invaders or natural disasters, perhaps even buried to conceal important royal treasures or religious relics that the city's rulers wished to safeguard. One particularly tantalizing theory suggests that the ancient city of Rege could have been destroyed or hidden due to its role in religious or political events. If the city was as important as the texts suggest, could there have been some catastrophic event, such as a royal coup, a military conquest, or a natural disaster that led to its fall? Perhaps the city's leaders decided to erase its existence, burying it beneath the earth to prevent it from being found again. Was Re built atop this forgotten city as a way to erase the old regime and start anew? Or was it simply a matter of the city being abandoned and lost to the sands of time? The search for these hidden cities beneath Re continues to captivate archaeologists and historians alike. With the ongoing urban expansion of modern Tehran, much of the ancient landscape of Re is rapidly disappearing. Yet, the region's ancient secrets remain, buried beneath the concrete and asphalt, waiting to be uncovered. Could future excavations reveal entire neighborhoods or buildings that have been lost for centuries, their history only now beginning to surface? Or will the destruction wrought by war, environmental change, and development continue to erase the evidence of these forgotten cities, leaving them forever hidden beneath the earth? As we reflect on the mysteries of the lost cities beneath Re, we are reminded of the fragility of history. What else might lie buried, waiting to be discovered, whether through excavation or by chance? What stories have yet to be told, and what ancient cities remain hidden beneath the modern world, waiting for their secrets to be uncovered? Only time will tell if the forgotten history of Re and its hidden cities will one day emerge from the shadows, offering us a deeper understanding of the rich and complex past of ancient Persia. As we venture deeper into the heart of ancient Persia, we come upon a city whose very name echoes the brilliance of engineering and innovation: Shushtar. Situated in the southwestern part of modern-day Iran, near the banks of the Karun River, Shushtar is a place steeped in history, but it is the city's subterranean wonders, its intricate underground water systems, that continue to capture the imagination of those who study the ancient world. Shushtar's most remarkable feature is its complex hydraulic system, a feat of engineering that dates back more than 2,500 years. The system was designed to control and distribute the water of the Karun River across the city, providing a reliable source of water for irrigation, domestic use, and industry. But what truly sets this system apart is the sheer scale of its design and the sophistication with which it was constructed. The intricate network of canals, tunnels, and watermills remains one of the most impressive examples of ancient Persian engineering. The city's water system is an elaborate web of underground channels and subterranean chambers, many of which are still intact today. Beneath the city's surface, a network of tunnels runs for miles, directing the flow of water through Shushtar and into agricultural fields, mills, and baths. These tunnels were carved into the rock, their paths meticulously planned to ensure a constant, controlled flow of water even in the driest of seasons. The city's engineers, working long before the advent of modern technology, had harnessed the forces of nature to create a system that was both practical and efficient. Yet, despite the ingenuity of this ancient water system, its full extent remains shrouded in mystery. While much of the system has been studied and documented, there are still sections of the tunnels and chambers that have never been fully explored. What lies deeper within these hidden passageways? Could there be more to this underground network than we currently understand? Some historians and archaeologists speculate that the water system may have been more than just a practical tool for irrigation and industry. It could have also served ceremonial or spiritual purposes, a reflection of the Persian belief in the sacredness of water and the natural world. What makes Shushtar's underground water system even more intriguing is the question of how it was built. The Persian Empire, at the time of Shushtar's construction, was at the height of its power, but even so, the scale and complexity of this water system suggest a level of sophistication that was far ahead of its time. The city's engineers did not simply dig trenches and canals. They meticulously designed an intricate web of water channels that spanned the length and breadth of the city, often carving their way through solid rock to create tunnels that have withstood the test of millennia. But how did they accomplish this feat without modern tools or techniques? Some scholars suggest that the ancient Persians used a combination of simple yet effective tools, like hammers, chisels, and primitive pulleys, to carve the tunnels and canals. Others have speculated that they may have had access to lost technologies or methods of construction that we have yet to fully understand. Could there have been advanced techniques passed down from earlier civilizations, or perhaps even a deeper, more esoteric knowledge that helped shape the design of this water system? Adding to the mystery is the question of the system's purpose. While it's clear that the hydraulic network was designed to supply water to the city, there are signs that it may have had other, more symbolic roles. The Persians were deeply religious people, and their understanding of the natural world was often interwoven with their spiritual beliefs. Water, in particular, was seen as a symbol of purity and renewal, and many Persian temples and palaces were designed with intricate water features, fountains, and pools. Could the underground water system of Shushtar have had a ceremonial purpose as well, providing water for sacred rituals or serving as a representation of the divine forces at work in the world? One of the most intriguing aspects of Shushtar's underground system is the presence of watermills, ancient mechanical devices used to harness the power of flowing water to grind grain and perform other tasks. These mills, some of which are still operational today, represent an early form of industrialization that existed long before the rise of modern factories. The mills are powered by the same underground channels of water, creating a symbiotic relationship between the city's water system and its economy. But could these mills have served a more hidden purpose, one that goes beyond simple industry? Were they part of a greater, more complex system of control and power, designed to regulate not only the flow of water, but also the labor and resources of the city? There are also those who believe that Shushtar's water system holds even darker secrets. Some theories suggest that the underground tunnels could have been used for more than just practical purposes. Could they have served as hidden passages or escape routes, used by the city's rulers to flee in times of danger? Others speculate that these tunnels might have been used to store treasures or important documents, safeguarding them from invaders or natural disasters. Could there be hidden chambers beneath the city that hold the remnants of the ancient Persian Empire, artifacts, scrolls, or royal decrees that we have yet to uncover? Perhaps one of the most haunting questions surrounding Shushtar's water system is whether it will survive the passage of time. As the modern world encroaches upon this ancient city, the delicate balance between preservation and destruction becomes ever more precarious. The underground channels and tunnels, once the lifeblood of the city, are now threatened by environmental change, urban expansion, and neglect. Will these ancient wonders be lost forever to history, or can they be preserved for future generations to study and explore? As we reflect on the mysteries of Shushtar's underground water system, we are left with more questions than answers. What else might lie hidden beneath the surface of this ancient city, waiting to be discovered? Are there more tunnels, chambers, or artifacts buried beneath the earth, lost to time and forgotten by all but a few? The secrets of Shushtar remain elusive, yet the city's water system stands as a testament to the ingenuity and vision of the ancient Persians, a reminder that, even in the face of time's relentless march, some mysteries are meant to remain hidden. For now, we can only wonder, what other secrets still lie beneath the waters of Shushtar, waiting to be uncovered? As we move from the intricate water systems of Shushtar, we find ourselves at another of Persia's enigmatic landmarks, Takht-e Soleyman, or the Throne of Solomon. Situated in the rugged mountains of northwestern Iran, this ancient site, with its dramatic landscapes and mysterious ruins, has long been the subject of fascination for historians and archaeologists alike. Yet, it is not just the visible remnants of this sacred place that intrigue us. It is what lies beneath the surface, an underground temple that remains as enigmatic as the city itself. Takht-e Soleyman is a complex site, marked by both natural beauty and architectural grandeur. The area centers around a large, ancient Zoroastrian temple, built around a volcanic crater lake that once served as a sacred site of fire worship. The flames, constantly fed by the natural gases bubbling up from the earth, created an eternal flame that would have been a focal point for the worshippers who once gathered here. But beneath the surface of this holy site, beneath the sacred flame and its surrounding temples, lies something even more mysterious. A hidden underground temple that has eluded complete understanding for centuries. The underground temple of Takht-e Soleyman has long been known to exist, but much of it remains unexplored. What is known is that the temple is situated beneath the surface of the larger complex, hidden from view by the natural rock formations that encase it. The structure is believed to have been part of a much older, pre-Zoroastrian religious site, possibly dating back to the early centuries of the first millennium BC. While the above-ground temple and the surrounding structures have been studied in detail, the underground complex remains largely untouched and shrouded in mystery. Could this hidden space have served as a secret location for ceremonies too sacred to be witnessed by the public? Or was it something more, a repository for the spiritual knowledge of the time, preserved in the shadows of the earth? The design of the underground temple is particularly striking. Archaeological excavations have revealed that the complex was intricately carved into the rock, with narrow passageways and hidden chambers leading to areas that were once believed to house sacred objects. The very location of the temple, deep beneath the surface, suggests that it was intended for a select few, perhaps high priests or spiritual leaders, who would have engaged in rituals far removed from the eyes of the common worshippers. Could it have been a place where the most sacred and mysterious elements of ancient Persian religion were practiced in secrecy? Or was it, as some have speculated, a place of initiation where only those chosen could gain access to the esoteric knowledge that lay hidden within its chambers? But while the site's religious significance is widely acknowledged, the true purpose of the underground temple remains a subject of debate. Some scholars believe that it was a center for Zoroastrian worship, specifically devoted to the fire that burned within the crater lake. The presence of such a sacred flame suggests a place of purification and divine connection, as fire was seen as a representation of Ahura Mazda, the supreme god in Zoroastrianism. Yet, the underground nature of the temple raises questions. Why build such a significant space beneath the earth, hidden away from public view? Was it a purely spiritual retreat? Or did it have more practical functions, perhaps related to the storage of sacred relics or even royal decrees? One particularly tantalizing theory suggests that the underground temple might have been the site of ancient, long-forgotten rituals. Fire worship was an integral part of Zoroastrianism, but there are some indications that Takht-e Soleyman was not merely a place for the worship of fire alone. The subterranean nature of the temple, along with the secrecy surrounding its design, suggests it could have been a place where knowledge of an even older pre-Zoroastrian religion was preserved. Could there have been connections to the ancient religious practices of the Elamites, or even earlier to the pre-Iranian traditions that have long since faded from memory? Some fringe theories propose that Takht-e Soleyman and its underground temple may have held otherworldly significance, possibly serving as a portal or gateway to other realms of existence. These theories, while speculative, are rooted in the idea that the ancient Persians, like many ancient cultures, believed in a connection between the physical world and the divine. The deep underground location of the temple, far from the light of the sun, may have been seen as a place of transition, where the earthly realm met the spiritual one. Could the temple's underground passages have been designed as a journey through the underworld, a symbolic movement from life to death, from the mortal realm to the divine? Or was it a more literal gateway, one that offered access to divine secrets hidden from the common people? Adding to the complexity of the underground temple is the role of the surrounding volcanic landscape. Takht-e Soleyman is situated near a dormant volcanic crater, and the natural geothermal activity of the area was likely seen as sacred by those who lived here. The constant, natural flame that burned in the center of the temple complex would have been considered a direct manifestation of the divine, a symbol of the eternal presence of Ahura Mazda. But could the volcanic activity also have played a role in the underground temple's construction? Were the tunnels and chambers carved into the volcanic rock with the intention of drawing on the natural energy of the earth, further enhancing the temple's spiritual significance? The combination of fire, earth, and water, the elements of Persian cosmology, seems to suggest a deliberate integration of the natural world into the temple's design. Despite extensive exploration and study, much of Takht-e Soleyman's underground temple remains inaccessible. The labyrinthine passages and hidden chambers still await discovery, offering tantalizing glimpses of an ancient world long buried beneath the earth. But as time marches on, and the political and environmental realities of the region continue to shift, the fate of this sacred site, and the mysteries it holds, remains uncertain. Will Takht-e Soleyman's secrets be preserved for future generations? Or will the ongoing instability in the region lead to the destruction of this ancient wonder? The underground temple of Takht-e Soleyman stands as a reminder of the complexity and depth of ancient Persian culture, a culture that was not only devoted to the gods, but also to the preservation of knowledge, the integration of nature and spirituality, and the secretive practices that have long been lost to time. As we stand on the threshold of these mysteries, we are left to wonder, What remains hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? What ancient truths are still buried in the depths, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? Only time, and perhaps the courage of future explorers, will tell. As we move forward from the hidden depths of Takht-e Soleyman, we find ourselves in the shadow of another great enigma of the ancient Persian world, Ziwiyeh Castle. Nestled in the rugged hills of northwestern Iran, this once vibrant site has long captured the imagination of archaeologists and historians. But despite its significance as a pivotal location in ancient Persia, the full extent of what lay within Ziwiyeh's walls remains an unresolved mystery. Ziwiyeh Castle is situated near the town of Ziwiyeh, perched on a commanding hill that overlooks the surrounding valleys and landscapes. The site is believed to be the remnants of the capital of the ancient Median Empire, a civilization that flourished in the 7th century BC before the rise of the Achaemenid Persians. The Medes, an ancient Indo-Iranian people, were instrumental in shaping the course of Persian history, and their capital at Ziwiyeh is thought to have played a central role in the development of the empire. Yet, for all its importance, the ruins at Ziwiyeh remain frustratingly elusive, leaving behind only fragments of a once great city. What makes Ziwiyeh so fascinating is not just its strategic location or its role in ancient politics. It is the sense of mystery that still clings to it, like the fog that often envelops the surrounding hills. Despite being an important hub of power during the Median era, the full story of the city has yet to be told. While archaeologists have uncovered several layers of ancient ruins at Ziwiyeh, much of the site has not been fully explored. What remains visible are the remnants of large stone structures, walls, and fortifications, which speak to the scale and sophistication of the city. But beneath these ruins, beneath the dust and earth, there may be secrets that have yet to be uncovered. The first excavations at Ziwiyeh uncovered evidence of what seems to have been a royal residence. Large stone buildings, some adorned with intricate carvings, suggest that the city once held great cultural and political significance. But despite these discoveries, archaeologists have been unable to definitively confirm the identity of the city's rulers or its exact role in the greater Median Empire. Was Ziwiyeh the capital of the entire Median kingdom, or was it simply a regional stronghold? And what of the royal tombs that are rumored to lie within the city's boundaries? Could these be the final resting places of the Medes' most important leaders, or are they the remains of common citizens, buried with the rituals of a forgotten age? As we sift through the historical evidence, we encounter more questions than answers. The city of Ziwiyeh was once a center of power, but it was eventually abandoned, like so many other ancient capitals. The reasons for its fall remain unclear. Was it the rise of the Achaemenid Empire that led to the city's decline? Or was it a more natural cause, such as the changing course of rivers or the depletion of local resources, that led to its desertion? While some scholars point to the arrival of the Persians as the catalyst for Ziwiyeh's fall, others suggest that the Medes themselves may have played a role in the city's demise, possibly through internal conflicts or shifts in political power. Adding to the intrigue is the fact that the site was largely forgotten by the time of the classical historians. The ancient Greek and Roman writers, who often chronicled the rise and fall of empires, make only passing references to the Medes, and their accounts of Ziwiyeh are sparse. Could this absence in the historical record be the result of a deliberate effort to erase the Medes from history? Or is it simply a reflection of the challenges faced by ancient historians in documenting the events of their time? One of the most striking features of Ziwiyeh is its enigmatic tombs, which have been the subject of much speculation. In 1959, excavations at the site uncovered a group of what are believed to be royal tombs, each containing a collection of finely crafted artifacts, including gold jewelry, weapons, and pottery. These items suggest that the tombs belong to individuals of high status, perhaps even kings or nobles of the Median dynasty. The presence of such valuable treasures raises an interesting question. Were the rulers of Ziwiyeh buried with their riches, as was common in many ancient cultures, or was there something more to the burial practices of the Medes? The artifacts discovered at Ziwiyeh seem to suggest a level of sophistication and wealth that was far ahead of its time. But what does this tell us about the people who once lived here? Were they truly as powerful as the artifacts suggest, or were these treasures the result of trade or conquest from outside forces? Some fringe theories propose that the tombs of Ziwiyeh may hold even more extraordinary secrets. Could there be hidden chambers, untouched by time and modern excavation, containing more treasures? Or perhaps even texts or artifacts that would shed light on the ancient Median religion and culture? The idea that the tombs could be more than just burial sites, that they might conceal knowledge or secrets from an ancient, lost civilization, adds an additional layer of intrigue to the mystery of Ziwiyeh. The site's abandonment only adds to the uncertainty surrounding Ziwiyeh. If this was truly the capital of the Median Empire, why did it fall into ruin so quickly? Could there have been a deliberate effort to erase it from memory? Or was the city's decline simply the result of natural forces? And if Ziwiyeh was a royal capital, what was the fate of its rulers and the wealth they accumulated? Were they defeated by the Achaemenids, or did they retreat to other cities and hide their wealth away from the growing Persian power? The history of Ziwiyeh, like much of ancient Persia, remains a mystery. We know that it was an important center in the ancient world, but its exact role in the broader narrative of Persian history is still unclear. And while the ruins of Ziwiyeh provide a tantalizing glimpse into the past, the secrets of the city's true nature and its ultimate fate are still waiting to be uncovered. As we consider the remnants of Ziwiyeh Castle, we are left with more questions than answers. What was the true significance of this lost Median capital? What secrets might still lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? And could the rise of the Achaemenid Empire have been the catalyst for not just the fall of Ziwiyeh, but the erasure of the Median legacy from history? Only time and further exploration will reveal the answers to these questions. But for now, Ziwiyeh stands as a haunting reminder of the mysteries that remain buried in the ruins of ancient Persia. As we move further into the heart of ancient Persia's enduring mysteries, we arrive at one of the most awe-inspiring and enigmatic sites in the entire region, Naqsh-e Rostam. Located near the modern-day city of Shiraz, this ancient necropolis is home to monumental rock tombs carved directly into the cliffs, overlooking the plains below. The site is known for its stunning rock-cut reliefs, representing the grandeur of the Achaemenid dynasty, but perhaps its most fascinating feature is the tombs themselves, royal resting places whose identities have been the subject of speculation and mystery for centuries. Naqsh-e Rostam is not merely a place of burial, it is a place that holds the echoes of an empire. The site's tombs are cut into the high, sheer cliffs of a mountain, with their facades beautifully carved to reflect the majesty of the Persian kings who were entombed there. Above them, in the rock, are intricate bas-reliefs depicting the triumphs and achievements of Persian rulers, including scenes from the reigns of Darius I, Xerxes I, and Artaxerxes I. These reliefs immortalize the power and reach of the Achaemenid dynasty, depicting military victories, royal processions, and divine favor. But despite the grandeur of these depictions, the true identity of the rulers entombed here remains a source of intrigue. There are 4 prominent tombs carved into the rock at Naqsh-e Rostam, each with a distinctive and imposing facade. These tombs, however, are not ordinary burial sites. Their design is unlike any other known to the ancient world, and the question arises, why did the Achaemenid kings choose to be buried in such a manner, deep within the rock, instead of in a more conventional burial chamber? And, perhaps more mysteriously, why did they go to such lengths to conceal their identities? The tombs themselves are impressive, with their facades featuring large, deeply carved doorways that lead into the rock. Above these doorways are monumental reliefs, which depict the king, often shown in full regalia, standing before a divine figure or engaging in some form of ritual. But despite these grand representations, no inscriptions provide clear identification of the kings buried within. The lack of inscriptions has led to much speculation about the identity of the tomb's occupants. Some scholars believe the tombs belong to Darius I, Xerxes I, and Artaxerxes I, three of the most famous Achaemenid rulers, while others have proposed that they could belong to a broader range of Persian kings. Yet, there is no definitive answer. One theory suggests that the tombs belong to Darius I and his successors, as the design of the tombs closely resembles the grandeur associated with the Achaemenid kings. Darius, known for his ambitious building projects and military campaigns, would have likely chosen such a monumental burial site to reflect his legacy. Xerxes I, his son, who is known for his role in the Persian Wars and his monumental projects at Persepolis, could also be a likely candidate. However, the absence of inscriptions means that we can only speculate as to whether these assumptions are correct. If these tombs do belong to Darius, Xerxes, and Artaxerxes, it raises the question, why would these kings choose such an unconventional burial site rather than a more traditional tomb like those found at Persepolis? Some scholars have proposed that the tombs were intended to be secretive, perhaps to protect the royal remains from potential invaders. The Achaemenid Empire was vast, and the royal family had enemies across the known world. The fact that these tombs are hidden high in the cliffs, carved into the rock itself, suggests that the kings of Persia may have wanted to shield their resting places from those who might desecrate or steal their remains. Could these tombs have been designed to be hidden from view as part of a broader effort to protect the royal family's sacred resting places from the hands of enemies or thieves? Another intriguing possibility is that the tombs at Naqsh-e Rostam may not only have been a place of burial, but also a site of worship. The grand reliefs and the apparent reverence shown to the kings in these depictions suggest a deep connection between the rulers and the divine. Was this location also intended as a sacred space where the kings could continue to be honored long after their deaths? The large bas-reliefs, some of which depict the king in communion with gods or divine figures, suggest that Naqsh-e Rostam was not just a royal tomb, but also a place where the kings were revered as divine figures even in death. Could this have been an effort to link the kings with the gods, to ensure that their legacy would endure forever? Adding another layer to the mystery is the strange, almost mystical nature of the site itself. Naqsh-e Rostam's location, carved into the cliffs, seems to elevate the tombs into the realm of the divine. The tombs are not just cut into the earth, they are carved into the very rock of the mountain, almost as though the kings were to be interred within the mountain itself. Some have speculated that the tomb's high placement and their imposing facades were intended to symbolize the ruler's ascent to the divine realm. In a time when the divine right of kings was a fundamental part of Persian culture, it's conceivable that these tombs were designed to ensure that the kings remained connected to the divine even in the afterlife. Despite the many theories, the identity of the kings buried at Naqsh-e Rostam remains uncertain. The tombs have been studied for centuries, and yet many questions remain unanswered. What significance did these tombs hold in the broader context of the Achaemenid dynasty? Were they a statement of royal power, a symbol of the king's connection to the divine, or a secretive burial site designed to protect the rulers from those who might desecrate their graves? There are also those who speculate that the mystery surrounding Naqsh-e Rostam could be part of something even larger, a hidden history of the Persian Empire that we may never fully understand. Could the tombs be part of a larger network of royal burial sites that have yet to be discovered? Are there other tombs carved into the mountainsides of Persia, hidden away from history's gaze, waiting to be uncovered? And if so, what might these tombs contain? Could there be lost artifacts or records that would shed light on the true nature of the Persian kings and their beliefs? As we stand before the imposing tombs of Naqsh-e Rostam, we are left to wonder what still lies hidden beneath the surface. The grandeur of these tombs, with their hidden identities and cryptic symbols, serves as a reminder that much of ancient Persia remains shrouded in mystery. Perhaps one day, the secrets of these tombs will be uncovered, revealing more about the kings who once ruled the Persian Empire and the empire they left behind. But until that day comes, the lost royal tombs of Naqsh-e Rostam will remain one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. As we step away from the grandeur of Naqsh-e Rostam, we find ourselves drawn to a place that, while equally monumental, remains overshadowed by time and the elements. Bishapur, the forgotten palace complex of the Sasanian Empire. Tucked away in the Zagros mountains of southern Iran, this sprawling site once stood as a symbol of royal power, culture, and innovation. Today, however, Bishapur's remains are often overlooked, its significance only faintly recognized against the backdrop of Persia's larger historical narrative. Yet, what remains of this ancient palace complex is no less mysterious, no less awe-inspiring, and perhaps even more tantalizing in its enigmatic silence. Bishapur was founded in the 3rd century BC by the Sasanian king Shapur I, after his victory over the Romans. The palace complex, sprawling across a lush, mountainous valley, was designed as both a royal residence and a military stronghold. Constructed from local stone, the architecture of Bishapur is both grand and practical. The walls of the palace are adorned with intricate reliefs, some depicting Shapur I himself, standing tall in Roman armor, his hands raised in triumph, while others capture scenes of royal court life and mythological subjects. These reliefs, carved deep into the stone, speak to the high level of artistry and craftsmanship of the Sasanian Empire, which sought to rival the legacies of earlier Persian dynasties. What remains visible today are the ruins of several large stone structures, including a grand entrance, a large ceremonial hall, and various smaller buildings. However, much of the palace complex has not been fully excavated or studied, and much of what lies beneath the surface of Bishapur remains shrouded in mystery. The large reliefs that adorn the stone walls are visible evidence of Bishapur's once vibrant cultural life, but beneath the surface, the true function of the complex and the deeper secrets of the site remain elusive. Why, after its initial construction, did Bishapur fade from history, its grandiose features buried under centuries of neglect and decay? And what remains hidden within its unexcavated areas, waiting for archaeologists and historians to uncover the secrets of this forgotten palace? The reliefs at Bishapur are some of the most well-preserved and significant aspects of the site. They depict Shapur I's famous victory over the Roman Emperor Valerian, as well as his other military conquests. These images tell a tale of a king who sought to immortalize his power, not just through written records, but through art that would endure for centuries. In one prominent relief, Shapur is shown on horseback, with a bound Roman emperor at his feet, a symbolic representation of his strength and dominance over the Roman Empire. But what is even more intriguing about these reliefs is what they might be hiding, or rather, what they might have been intended to conceal. While the reliefs themselves are vivid in their depictions of triumph and power, there is an absence of personal detail about Shapur I or his court. What little is known of the daily life at Bishapur comes from these images, but they leave many questions unanswered. Were these depictions meant to immortalize Shapur I's military victories as a form of propaganda? Or did they also serve another, more secretive purpose? The Sasanian Empire, after all, was known for its use of art and architecture as tools of political and spiritual power. Could the palace itself have been built not just to house the royal family, but as a site of religious or even esoteric significance, where sacred knowledge was passed down through the generations? Adding to the mystery of Bishapur are the ruins of its bathhouses and water channels, which suggest a sophisticated understanding of engineering and urban planning. The Sasanian Empire was known for its advancements in infrastructure, and Bishapur is no exception. The water channels that run through the site, once used to supply water to the palace's complex, reflect a deep concern for both the practical and aesthetic aspects of royal life. Could these waterworks have been designed not just for utility, but for symbolic or ceremonial purposes as well? Water was a central element in Persian culture, often associated with life, purity, and divine power. Was the water system at Bishapur, like many ancient Persian sites, also intended to symbolize the flow of life and the divine favor that the king enjoyed? Yet for all its grandeur, Bishapur's story remains curiously incomplete. The site was largely abandoned after the fall of the Sasanian Empire in the 7th century, and much of its architectural splendor was lost over time. What happened to the royal family that once inhabited the palace? Why did Bishapur fade into obscurity? There are those who believe that the site was purposely destroyed or concealed, its secrets hidden by the very rulers who built it. Some have speculated that the downfall of the Sasanian Empire led to the deliberate abandonment of the site, as political turmoil and military defeat took their toll. But what if there was something more to Bishapur's disappearance? Something hidden within the palace walls, waiting to be uncovered? Perhaps the most intriguing mystery surrounding Bishapur lies in the fact that large sections of the palace complex have never been fully excavated. What might be buried beneath the layers of earth and stone that have accumulated over the centuries? The most significant unanswered question is whether the palace contained more than just a royal residence. Could there be hidden chambers or passageways, concealed by the natural forces of the earth, that would reveal the true extent of Bishapur's significance? And what might these spaces contain? Lost artifacts, secret texts, or perhaps even royal treasures? There are those who believe that Bishapur was more than just a place of royal residence and military might. Could it have served as a center for religious or mystical practices? The Sasanian kings were known for their devotion to Zoroastrianism, but there were also other religious and philosophical movements in the region at the time. Movements that sought to blend mysticism, philosophy, and royal power. Was Bishapur, with its imposing reliefs and sophisticated waterworks, designed as a center for these beliefs? Could there be hidden aspects of the site that were dedicated to esoteric knowledge, guarded by the royal family, and now lost to time? As we reflect on the mysteries of Bishapur, we are left with more questions than answers. The site stands as a testament to the architectural and cultural brilliance of the Sasanian Empire, but it also serves as a reminder of how much remains hidden beneath the surface. What might we still learn if the palace were fully excavated, its secrets brought to light? Could the palace, still buried in layers of earth and time, hold the key to understanding the spiritual and political world of the Sasanian kings? As the world changes and the region faces the challenges of modern conflict, we may lose the opportunity to uncover the full story of Bishapur. For now, the palace stands as a forgotten monument, its mysteries lingering just out of reach, waiting to be rediscovered. As we leave the regal remnants of Bishapur behind, we venture deeper into the heart of ancient Persia, where another colossal and enigmatic structure rises from the dust of time, the giant Ziggurat of Chogha Zanbil. Situated in the Iranian province of Khuzestan, this ancient marvel stands as a testament to the power and sophistication of the Elamite civilization. a people whose story often gets overshadowed by their more famous Persian successors. Yet, the Ziggurat at Chogha Zanbil is one of the most significant and mysterious monuments of the ancient Near East, a structure that has defied both time and complete understanding for millennia. Rising from the plain like a giant stepped pyramid, Chogha Zanbil's Ziggurat is one of the best preserved examples of its kind, and it offers a rare glimpse into the spiritual and architectural practices of the Elamites. The Ziggurat itself is imposing, a massive mud brick structure that, when it was originally constructed around 1250 BC, likely soared to a height of over 50 meters, making it a monumental feat of engineering and labor for its time. The Ziggurat was designed to be both a religious center and a symbol of the city's power, with its massive structure intended to represent the earthly connection between the heavens and the human world. As we stand before the ruins today, we can still see traces of its grandeur, despite centuries of erosion and neglect. The design of the Ziggurat is striking, with its vast square base composed of numerous tiers that once supported a grand temple at the summit. The building's imposing scale and unique architectural features suggest that it was not only a physical structure but also a symbolic one. Ziggurats were not just temples, they were believed to be sacred mountains, bridging the gap between the divine and the mortal. The idea was that the gods would descend to the temple atop the Ziggurat, making it a space of profound spiritual significance. But who were the gods that the Elamites worshipped at this massive structure, and why did they go to such great lengths to construct a monument of this magnitude? The Ziggurat of Chogha Zanbil was built in honor of the Elamite god Shushark, the deity of the city of Susa, which was the political and cultural heart of Elamite civilization. The presence of a temple dedicated to Shushark atop the Ziggurat would have been a powerful statement of devotion and divine favor. But what makes this site even more intriguing is the fact that it is located not far from the ancient city of Susa, yet it seems to have served a different, possibly more esoteric purpose. Why build such a massive monument here, in the middle of a plain, far from the bustling center of the Elamite Empire? Was it simply a reflection of the city's wealth and power? Or could there have been deeper, more mystical reasons for its construction? Archaeological studies have revealed that Chogha Zanbil was not just a religious site, but also a political one. The Ziggurat was part of a larger urban complex that included walls, gates, and a grand entrance, suggesting that it may have been a center of Elamite governance as well as spirituality. The fact that it was built in such a strategic location, close to important trade routes, raises the possibility that it may have served both a religious and administrative function. But what is particularly interesting is the fact that the Ziggurat seems to have been abandoned relatively quickly after its construction, around the 8th century BC. What happened to the city and its people? Why did such an important and imposing structure fall into ruin so swiftly? Some scholars speculate that the decline of Chogha Zanbil and the eventual abandonment of the site were tied to the shifting political and military fortunes of the Elamite civilization. The Elamites, despite their early successes, were eventually conquered by the Persians in the 6th century BC, and their empire faded into history. Could the abandonment of Chogha Zanbil have been part of a larger pattern of decline as the Elamites struggled against outside invaders? Or was there something more to the site's sudden desertion, a hidden force, either natural or supernatural, that led to its abandonment? Adding another layer of intrigue is the fact that Chogha Zanbil was largely forgotten for centuries. The Ziggurat remained buried beneath the sands of time, its existence unknown to the outside world until it was rediscovered in the 1930s. This raises the question: how many other ancient monuments, temples, and cities might lie buried beneath the earth, their stories untold, their mysteries still unsolved? Is Chogha Zanbil a unique case? Or is it part of a larger pattern of forgotten Elamite cities, that have yet to be uncovered. One of the most intriguing features of Chogha Zanbil is its location. Positioned on a flat plain, surrounded by the vast, sweeping landscape of Khuzestan, the Ziggurat stands as a silent sentinel, watching over a region that has been home to countless civilizations over millennia. The city itself is laid out in a precise, organized manner, with streets and buildings that were clearly designed with both function and symbolism in mind. But could the site have been chosen for reasons beyond mere geography? Some have speculated that the location of Chogha Zanbil, with its commanding view of the surrounding plains, might have had astronomical significance. Was the Ziggurat's placement intended to align with certain celestial events, such as solstices or equinoxes, further emphasizing its connection to the divine? The sheer scale of Chogha Zanbil also invites speculation about its purpose. Some have suggested that the Ziggurat was not just a religious monument, but also a place of pilgrimage, where people from all over the Elamite Empire came to pay homage to their gods. Was it possible that this massive structure served as a center for religious and cultural exchange, drawing visitors from across the ancient Near East? Or was the site primarily a reflection of the political might of the Elamite kings, a way of solidifying their power and divine right to rule? And what of the mystery of the Ziggurat's original construction? The Elamites were known for their sophisticated engineering, yet the building of such a massive structure without the aid of modern tools remains a mystery. How were the massive mud bricks, each weighing several tons, transported and stacked to form such an imposing monument? Was there an advanced system of labor and technology at play, or did the builders of Chogha Zanbil employ methods lost to history, techniques now forgotten? Despite these questions, much about Chogha Zanbil remains shrouded in mystery. The Ziggurat, while awe-inspiring, stands as a reminder of the enigmatic nature of ancient Persian civilization and the civilizations that preceded it. Its faded carvings, its sun-baked bricks, and its stillness all serve to remind us of the layers of history that have been buried beneath the surface of this land, waiting to be uncovered. As we stand before the remnants of the giant Ziggurat of Chogha Zanbil, we are left to wonder, what other secrets might this ancient site hold? Are there hidden chambers, inscriptions, or artifacts buried beneath the sands, waiting to be discovered? Will the true purpose of this massive structure ever be fully understood? The mysteries of Chogha Zanbil remain unsolved, and as time continues its march, it is uncertain how much of this ancient city and its monumental ziggurat will ever be revealed. But the questions linger as we are left to wonder, how much of the ancient world is still hidden, waiting for the right moment to be brought back to light? As we continue our journey through the ancient Persian world, we come to a site that is as enigmatic as it is awe-inspiring, the stone carvings of Tang-e Chogan Valley. Hidden within the rugged hills of southwestern Iran, this remote location houses some of the most remarkable and puzzling rock reliefs in the entire ancient world. For centuries, these carvings have captivated historians and archaeologists, yet their true purpose, meaning, and the identity of the figures depicted remain a mystery, leaving much to the imagination. Tang-e Chogan Valley lies nestled between the mountains of Fars province, an area rich with both natural beauty and a profound historical legacy. The valley itself is a breathtaking sight, with its dramatic cliffs and deep ravines cutting through the land. But it is the stone reliefs carved into the towering rock faces that draw our attention. These reliefs, which are believed to date back to the 5th century BC, depict scenes of royal authority, military campaigns, and religious rituals, providing a rare glimpse into the world of the ancient Persian kings. Despite their significance, these carvings hold as many questions as they do answers. What do they represent? Who commissioned them? And what message were they meant to convey? At first glance, the reliefs of Tang-e Chogan appear to be straightforward depictions of royal figures, rulers, soldiers, and attendants. but the lack of clear inscriptions or accompanying texts leaves us to speculate on their true meaning. The most famous of the carvings shows a king, possibly the Persian ruler Shapur I, standing in full regalia with his arm raised in a posture that suggests victory or divine favor. He is flanked by his soldiers, their faces and forms rendered in sharp detail. Other carvings depict processions, military parades, and scenes of tribute. But despite the clarity of the images, much of their significance remains elusive. Were these reliefs meant to immortalize a particular event or series of events? Or were they simply symbols of the king's eternal power, meant to stand the test of time? The identity of the king depicted in the reliefs is a topic of ongoing debate. Some scholars suggest that the figure is indeed Shapur I, who ruled during the 3rd century BC, while others argue that it could be an earlier king, perhaps from the Achaemenid dynasty. The lack of inscriptions makes it difficult to definitively identify the ruler, leaving us to wonder, why were these figures left nameless? Was it a deliberate act? A way to elevate the image of the ruler beyond the confines of historical records, making the king appear eternal and beyond the reach of time? Or was it simply the result of the natural erosion of inscriptions over centuries, a process that has obscured much of the past? Adding to the mystery of the carvings is the question of their location. Why were these images carved into the rock faces of Tang-e Chogan, far from the palaces and cities of the Persian Empire? The valley itself is not a typical location for monumental royal artwork. Its remote, secluded nature suggests that the reliefs may have been created for a specific purpose that we do not fully understand. Could this site have served as a ceremonial or sacred space where the king's victories and divine favor were celebrated by those who lived nearby? Or was it intended to be a public display, visible to travelers, soldiers, or other visitors passing through the valley? What message were these carvings meant to convey, and to whom? The presence of soldiers and attendants in the carvings also invites further speculation. Some of the figures depicted are shown in scenes of military conquest, while others appear to be serving the king in various ceremonial capacities. The question arises, were these carvings simply depictions of royal power and military triumph? Or did they also serve a more symbolic function, perhaps connected to Persian religious beliefs or the divine right of kings? The idea of divine kingship was central to Persian culture, and it is possible that the reliefs were intended to reinforce the idea that the king's power came not just from his military prowess, but from the favor of the gods themselves. Could the carvings in Tang-e Chogan Valley have been part of a larger religious or political narrative, reinforcing the legitimacy of the king's reign and his connection to the divine? Despite these theories, there is still much about the carvings that remains unexplained. The style of the reliefs, while clearly influenced by the art of earlier Persian periods, also shows signs of innovation and distinctiveness. The figures are rendered in a more dynamic and fluid style compared to earlier, more rigid depictions, suggesting a desire to convey not just royal power, but movement and vitality. This could reflect an evolving artistic tradition, one that sought to express not just the king's authority, but also his connection to the pulse of life itself. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Tang-e Chogan reliefs is the possibility that they depict a series of events that we have yet to fully understand. Some scholars have speculated that the reliefs may represent the military campaigns of the Persian kings, particularly those fought against the Greeks or other neighboring civilizations. The carvings, with their emphasis on the king's victories and divine favor, could be a visual record of these triumphs. However, the lack of detailed historical context makes it difficult to link the scenes to specific events or battles, leaving us to wonder if the reliefs are more symbolic in nature than historical records. Some fringe theories suggest that the reliefs may not be entirely earthly in their nature. Could the imagery of the king, flanked by soldiers and attendants, symbolize more than just earthly power? Was there an esoteric or mystical dimension to these carvings? Something that went beyond the material world and connected the king to the divine or to otherworldly forces? Could the carvings have been part of a larger belief system, one that blended royal power with spiritual forces, guiding the king's reign and his connection to the cosmos? The lack of inscriptions only deepens the mystery. In an empire that often left behind detailed records, why would these powerful images be left without clear names or dates? Was this an intentional act to preserve the king's legacy in a timeless, almost mythological way? Or did the absence of inscriptions reflect a cultural preference for the visual and symbolic as opposed to the written word? As we stand before the stone carvings of Tang-e Chogan Valley, we are left to contemplate the mysteries they hold. These images, weathered by time yet still vibrant in their depiction of power, have much to tell us about the ancient Persian worldview, but their full story remains hidden. Was the site simply a display of royal power, or was it a place where the divine and earthly realms intersected? Who were the kings and soldiers who once gazed upon these carvings, and what did they see in the images before them? The reliefs of Tang-e Chogan Valley remain a profound puzzle, one that continues to intrigue scholars, archaeologists, and anyone who seeks to understand the ancient world. The answers may never fully be known, but the questions they raise about the nature of power, divinity, and art in ancient Persia will continue to resonate, inviting us to wonder what other hidden truths might be carved into the stones of ancient Persia, waiting to be discovered. As we leave behind the stone-carved reliefs of Tang-e Chogan Valley, our journey through the ancient Persian world leads us to another awe-inspiring site, Taq-e Bostan, a sanctuary of monumental rock reliefs that continue to stand as testaments to the grandeur of Persian kingship. Situated in the foothills of the Zagros Mountains, near the modern-day city of Kermanshah, Taq-e Bostan remains one of the most visually striking and enigmatic locations in all of ancient Persia. The site is renowned for its towering rock reliefs, which depict royal figures, gods, and mythical scenes, immortalized in the very stones of the mountain itself. But despite their magnificence, these reliefs have long defied easy interpretation, leaving us to ponder, what hidden truths do these ancient carvings hold? Taq-e Bostan is composed of a series of large, elaborately carved reliefs that stretch across several rock faces. The most iconic of these is a series of giant panels featuring the kings of the Sasanian Empire, the last great Persian dynasty before the rise of Islam. These reliefs are massive in scale, with some of the figures towering more than 10 feet high. The carvings show the kings in the midst of important ceremonies, performing royal investitures, participating in hunting scenes, and engaging in acts of divine worship. The vividness and clarity of the imagery suggest that these kings sought to immortalize their power and divine right, inscribing their victories and their connections to the gods into the very rock of the land they ruled. But while the images are rich in detail, their meanings are far from simple. One of the most remarkable features of Taq-e Bostan is the way the reliefs blend royal power with divine symbolism. The central panel, for example, features the figure of a king, believed to be Bishapur II, one of the most celebrated rulers of the Sasanian Empire, dressed in royal attire, his arms raised in the gesture of receiving divine power. Above him, a large image of the god Anahita, the Persian goddess of water and fertility, hovers, offering the king her blessings. This scene, with its divine imagery, speaks to the central theme of Sasanian kingship, the idea that the king was not just a ruler on earth, but a representative of the gods themselves, chosen to rule by divine will. But the question remains, why was such a dramatic portrayal of kingship necessary? Why carve these larger-than-life figures into the mountainsides? Some scholars suggest that the reliefs were a form of royal propaganda, a deliberate effort by the Sasanian rulers to legitimize their power and reinforce their divine right to rule. The prominence of gods like Anahita in the carvings may have been intended to demonstrate the close relationship between the king and the divine realm. Others believe that the reliefs served a more ceremonial purpose, perhaps marking important events in the life of the king or the empire, such as coronations, military victories, or religious rituals, providing an eternal visual record of these significant moments. But despite these explanations, there are elements of Taq-e Bostan that remain unexplained, pushing us to consider other, more speculative possibilities. For example, one of the most intriguing aspects of the reliefs is the recurring presence of mythical creatures and symbols. In addition to the gods, the reliefs also depict enormous winged creatures, some resembling griffins, others looking more like strange hybrid beasts, engaged in what seem to be divine or ritualistic activities. What role do these creatures play in the imagery of the kings and gods? Are they mere symbols of royal power, or do they represent something more mysterious, perhaps a hidden belief system, or an esoteric understanding of the cosmos? Another enigmatic feature of Taq-e Bostan is the fact that some of the reliefs appear to depict not just the living kings, but also their representations in the afterlife. In one of the panels, the king is shown standing before a divine figure while receiving the symbolic investiture of power, suggesting that the king's reign was not limited to the mortal world but extended into the realm of the divine. Some scholars have speculated that these afterlife motifs point to a deeply spiritual or mystical aspect of Sasanian culture, one that sought to transcend the physical world and link the king to an eternal, divine order. Could the rock reliefs be part of a larger spiritual practice, designed not just to honor the king's earthly reign, but to ensure his eternal place in the afterlife? The vast scale and intricate detail of the carvings also raise further questions. How were these immense rock reliefs created? The sheer size of the carvings and their technical precision suggest a level of craftsmanship and organization that is remarkable for its time. Some of the figures are so finely detailed that they seem almost alive, their expressions conveying a sense of regal authority and divine favor. Yet the carving process must have been incredibly labor-intensive, requiring not just skilled artisans, but a large workforce and considerable resources. How was this monumental task managed, and what significance did it have for the Sasanian rulers who commissioned it? Were these reliefs part of a larger program of architectural and artistic development that spanned the entire empire, or were they an isolated effort by a particularly ambitious ruler? Adding to the mystery of Taq-e Bostan is the possibility that there are still undiscovered elements hidden beneath the surface of the site. While much of the reliefs have been studied and documented, there are areas of the rock faces that remain unexplored. Some archaeologists believe that additional reliefs or inscriptions may still lie beneath the layers of sediment and rock, waiting to be uncovered. Could there be more to the Taq-e Bostan complex than we currently know? Could further excavation reveal even deeper connections between the royal family, the gods, and the mythic creatures depicted in the carvings? And what might these hidden elements tell us about the beliefs and practices of the Sasanian Empire that we have yet to fully understand? Another layer of intrigue surrounds the location of Taq-e Bostan itself. The site is situated in a remote area, surrounded by dramatic mountains and valleys, and its positioning suggests that it may have been intended to be both visually and symbolically significant. The rock reliefs, carved directly into the mountain, evoke a sense of permanence and timelessness, as though the kings and gods depicted are eternally enshrined in the landscape itself. Could the site have been chosen for its natural features, such as the way the surrounding mountains created a dramatic backdrop for the carvings, or was it selected for more esoteric reasons, perhaps related to astrology, cosmic alignments, or even the spiritual energy of the location? Despite the many theories that surround Taq-e Bostan, the full meaning of the site remains elusive. The rock reliefs, with their vivid depictions of kings, gods, and mythical beings, are not just works of art. They are keys to understanding the complex spiritual, political, and cultural landscape of ancient Persia. But as we stand before these colossal figures, we are left with as many questions as answers. What were the true intentions of the rulers who commissioned these carvings? Was Taq-e Bostan simply a visual record of royal power? Or was it a sacred site designed to connect the mortal world with the divine? And perhaps most intriguingly, what else might still lie hidden within this ancient rock, waiting for us to discover? The mysteries of Taq-e Bostan endure, inviting us to contemplate the depths of Persian kingship and the legacy of a civilization that has long since faded from the world stage. As we journey deeper into the ancient heart of Persia, we now turn our attention to a marvel of engineering that lies beneath the surface of the land, a network so vast and intricate that it has been called one of the greatest accomplishments of ancient civilization, the Qanat system. These underground channels, carved out of the earth centuries ago, represent a feat of human ingenuity that allowed the Persian Empire to thrive in some of the most inhospitable regions of the world. And yet, even today, much of their history remains shrouded in mystery. The Qanat system was a sophisticated method of irrigation and water management that dates back to at least the 5th century BC, though some estimates place its origins as far back as 1000 BC. At its core, a Qanat is a subterranean tunnel, often stretching several kilometers, designed to transport water from underground aquifers to the surface, where it could be used for agriculture, drinking, and other essential needs. These Qanats were especially crucial in the arid regions of Persia, where rainfall is scarce and surface water sources are few. The sheer scale and complexity of these underground networks were not only a testament to the ingenuity of ancient Persian engineers, but also to the importance of water in sustaining life and power in such a challenging environment. The construction of a Qanat begins with a vertical shaft dug deep into the earth to reach an underground water source, often located far from the areas that need it most. Once the water source is accessed, horizontal tunnels are dug at a gentle slope, allowing the water to flow naturally downhill towards the surface. The Qanat system was designed to minimize evaporation, which is a common problem with open canals. These tunnels could extend for miles, passing beneath mountains, through desert plains, and even under entire cities. The water, cool and fresh, would flow through these subterranean channels, emerging at the surface in wells or reservoirs, where it could be distributed for agricultural or domestic use. The engineering behind the Qanat system is nothing short of remarkable. The tunnels, often no wider than a person, are carefully constructed to maintain a steady slope, ensuring that the water flows evenly and efficiently. The Qanats were often lined with brick or stone to prevent collapse and to protect the water from contamination. Ventilation shafts, spaced at regular intervals along the length of the tunnel, allowed air to circulate, preventing the tunnels from becoming stifling or flooded. Despite the primitive tools available to the workers who constructed these Qanats, they were able to build underground water systems that could stretch for many kilometers, in some cases extending far beyond the immediate needs of a single settlement. The Qanat system revolutionized agriculture in Persia, turning vast stretches of barren desert into fertile farmland. Entire cities, like Yazd and Kerman, grew up around these water sources, thriving in regions where life would have otherwise been impossible. The Qanats not only provided a reliable source of water for irrigation, but also supplied clean drinking water to urban populations. In fact, many of the ancient cities of Persia were built with Qanats at their foundation, and some of the most famous Persian palaces and gardens were designed around these subterranean water channels. The gardens of Persepolis, for example, relied on Qanats to supply water for their lush vegetation, a symbol of Persian power and the divine connection between the king and the forces of nature. But as impressive as the Qanats were in their function, they also represented a certain mystique. The act of building and maintaining these underground tunnels was seen as a sacred task, an endeavor that required not just technical skill, but a deep understanding of the land and its rhythms. Who were the engineers, the laborers, the architects who designed and built these qanats? And what knowledge did they possess that allowed them to tap into the hidden reservoirs of the earth, bringing water from deep within the ground to sustain civilizations? The secretive nature of the qanats only adds to their mystery. Unlike surface-level irrigation systems, which are visible and accessible, qanats were hidden from sight, their channels concealed beneath the earth. This secrecy imbued them with a sense of reverence and awe, as if they were connecting the human world to an unseen realm. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Qanat system is the way in which it reflects the ancient Persians' understanding of the environment and the cosmos. The Qanats were not just practical solutions to water scarcity. They were also a manifestation of the Persian reverence for the natural world. Water, in Persian culture, was sacred, representing both life and divine favor. The Qanat system itself can be seen as a symbol of this belief, a hidden, flowing vein of life that connected the earth's depths to the surface, sustaining both the land and the people who lived upon it. In this way, the Qanat system can be viewed as an expression of the Persian worldview, one that sought harmony between human civilization and the natural world. Yet, despite their profound importance, the Qanats remain largely enigmatic. While many ancient systems have been documented and studied extensively, much about the Qanat networks remains unknown. How did the ancient Persians acquire the knowledge necessary to construct such an intricate system of tunnels? Did this technology evolve over time, or was it passed down from an even older civilization? Some researchers suggest that the knowledge of Qanat construction may have been passed down from the ancient Elamites, whose own water management systems predated the rise of the Persian Empire. Others believe that the Persian Qanats were the product of innovation born out of necessity, developed in response to the harsh environment of the Iranian plateau. Another mystery lies in the fate of the Qanat system itself. While many Qanats are still in use today, serving as vital water sources in remote regions of Iran and the wider Middle East, many others have fallen into disuse or been abandoned altogether. What happened to the vast networks of Qanats that once flourished under the Persian Empire? Was their decline the result of changing political and environmental conditions, such as the collapse of the Sasanian Empire or the rise of more modern forms of irrigation? Or was there a deeper, more mystical reason for their abandonment? Some scholars have suggested that the Qanats may have been deliberately sealed or hidden, perhaps as a way to protect sacred or strategic water sources from invaders or rival powers. Others believe that the decline of the Qanat system was simply a consequence of technological advancement, as more modern methods of water transport rendered the ancient tunnels obsolete. In any case, the Qanat system stands as one of the most remarkable achievements of the ancient world. Its legacy is still felt today, not only in the continued use of Qanats in some parts of Iran, but also in the way it shaped the development of Persian civilization. Yet, there is so much about the Qanat system that remains a mystery, hidden beneath the earth, like the water it once carried, waiting to be rediscovered. How many more Qanats lie buried, waiting to be uncovered by archaeologists? And what more can we learn about the ancient engineers who created these subterranean marvels? As we reflect on the Qanat system, we are reminded of the mysteries that still lie beneath our feet, hidden beneath layers of earth and time. What secrets might still be locked away in these ancient tunnels? And how much of our understanding of the ancient world might shift if we could unlock the full story of the Qanats, those mysterious veins of water that once nourished a civilization and connected it to the divine? The Qanats remain a powerful symbol of Persia's ingenuity, yet the true depths of their mystery may still be waiting to be unearthed. Nestled high in the rugged Alborz Mountains of northern Iran the fortress of Alamut looms like a forgotten sentinel, its crumbling walls and shattered towers bearing silent witness to a tumultuous and storied past. Alamut, meaning eagle's nest, was once an impregnable stronghold, a place where power, faith, and mystery converged in an extraordinary tale that still echoes across the pages of history. Today, the fortress remains largely in ruin, perched on a sharp precipice where the sky and the earth meet. Yet, despite its apparent decay, the site retains an air of mystery, an enigmatic aura that beckons us to uncover its secrets. In its prime, Alamut was far more than a mere military stronghold. It was the center of the legendary Nizari Ismaili sect, a branch of Shia Islam that would forever alter the course of history. Founded in the 11th century by Hassani Sabah, the fortress was home to the Assassins, an order of shadowy warriors who became infamous for their covert and often deadly operations. The very name, assassin, is said to have originated from this group, their tactics shrouded in secrecy and fear. But what was the true nature of the fortress, and why did this isolated mountain retreat become the crucible of such a powerful and dangerous movement? Alamut was strategically placed atop a sheer cliff, accessible only by a narrow winding path, a design that ensured its defense against any invading force. The fortifications themselves were impressive for their time. Walls of thick stone, tall watchtowers, and hidden passages that could turn the mountain into a labyrinth. The site was nearly impregnable, offering both a physical and symbolic isolation that made it the perfect stronghold for Hassani Sabah's vision. Here, in the cool, windswept heights of the mountains, he established a secretive sect with ambitions that extended far beyond the confines of Alamut. The Nizari Ismailis, under Hassani Sabah, believed in a unique interpretation of Islam, one that centered on the idea of hidden knowledge and the notion of a spiritual leader who wielded unparalleled authority. It is within the walls of Alamut that Sabah and his followers crafted a philosophy that intertwined the mystical with the political, the sacred with the martial. Their belief system held that the world was a place of deep deception and that only a select few could access the divine knowledge required to navigate it. For Sabah, Alamut was both a fortress and a sanctum, a place where he and his followers could prepare to carry out their secretive operations and challenge the political powers of the time. But it is the assassins' methods that have captured the imagination of history. The group's most well-known tactic was the targeted killing of political figures, kings, generals, and anyone they deemed an obstacle to their vision. These were not random acts of violence, but carefully calculated strikes, often carried out in broad daylight, leaving an air of terror in their wake. It was said that no one, not even the most powerful, was beyond the reach of the assassins. And this ruthlessness earned them both fear and respect from the ruling dynasties of the day. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding Alamut is the so-called secret of the assassins' training. It is said that young recruits were conditioned through an elaborate process that included psychological manipulation and possibly even the use of drugs to induce altered states of consciousness. According to some accounts, they were taken to paradise-like gardens within the fortress, shown indulgent pleasures, and told that such rewards awaited them in the afterlife if they completed their mission successfully. This blend of ideology, manipulation, and training techniques contributed to their near-mythical status as deadly agents of the shadowy Nizari Ismaili sect. But was this the full story? Or is it merely a romanticized version of events? As we peer into the history of Alamut, one cannot ignore the more speculative elements that have emerged over the centuries. Some have suggested that the assassins, with their complex and enigmatic worldview, may have been more than just a political faction. They could have represented a deeper, more esoteric tradition, one rooted in secret knowledge, perhaps even in practices that defied conventional understanding of religion and politics. Could Alamut have been a center for a form of mysticism that blended ancient philosophies with religious thought, reaching beyond mere political assassination to a much grander spiritual agenda? The fortress itself, with its maze-like halls and hidden chambers, seems to invite such speculation. At its zenith, Alamut became the symbol of the assassins' power, a place from which their influence spread across vast regions, from Persia to the Levant. But as with all empires of secrecy and power, the downfall of the assassins was swift. In the early 13th century, the Mongols, under the leadership of Hulagu Khan, launched a brutal campaign across the Middle East, culminating in the siege and eventual destruction of Alamut. The Mongols, famed for their ferocity, laid waste to the fortress, dismantling its walls and killing many of its inhabitants. But was this the end of the assassins? Or did they simply retreat deeper into the shadows, their mysteries preserved by the passage of time? Despite its fall, Alamut's legacy has never truly disappeared. The mystique surrounding the assassins has persisted through centuries, their stories immortalized in literature, legend, and even modern media. Yet the true nature of their power, their rituals, and the reasons behind their unwavering loyalty to Hassani-Sabah remain unclear. Was Alamut merely a place of strategic importance, a military stronghold where assassinations were carried out for political reasons? Or did it serve as the center of a larger, more mystical agenda, with knowledge and practices that extended far beyond the political and into the esoteric? Adding to the allure of Alamut is the fact that much of the fortress remains unexplored, or at least underexplored. What lies beneath the surface? What might still be hidden in the ruins of this ancient stronghold? Perhaps documents, artifacts, or even secret chambers that could shed light on the true nature of the assassins' beliefs? Some have speculated that deep within the heart of Alamut, beneath the rubble, there may be relics that hold the key to understanding the assassins' rise and their eventual fall. Could there be undiscovered manuscripts or inscriptions that reveal the true teachings of Hassani-Sabah, or even clues about the mystical practices that were once a central part of the sect's identity? In a world where history and myth often intertwine, Alamut stands as a potent symbol of both the light and the shadow of Persian power. It was a place of hidden knowledge and deadly precision, where faith and politics collided in an explosive way. Yet, as we stand before the crumbling stones of this once great fortress, we are left with more questions than answers. What was the true nature of the assassins' faith, and what did they truly believe in? Was their power merely the result of political manipulation, or was there something deeper, more profound, that drove them? And perhaps most tantalizing of all, what secrets still lie within the ruins of Alamut waiting to be discovered? These are questions that, for now, remain unanswered, leaving the legacy of Alamut to continue its silent watch over the mountains. As we leave behind the shadows of the assassins and the smoldering ruins of Alamut, we now turn our gaze to a site whose name may not be as widely known, yet it bears witness to one of the most dramatic moments in Persian history, the fall of the Sasanian Empire. Hidden away in the remote reaches of Iran's mountainous terrain lies Zibad Castle, the last refuge of the Sasanian king, Yazdegerd III. A place where time itself seems to have slowed down, the castle remains a haunting testament to the final days of a once great empire that dominated the ancient world. Here, in the secluded fastness of the mountains, Yazdegerd took his last stand, hoping to escape the forces of the rising Arab caliphate that had already swept through much of the Sasanian heartland. But what really happened in this desolate location, and what secrets does Zibad Castle still conceal? The castle sits atop a craggy outcrop in the rugged mountains of northeastern Iran, commanding a commanding view of the valley below. Its walls are steep and weathered, scarred by centuries of exposure to the elements. Built into the mountain itself, Zibad Castle is an architectural marvel, a labyrinth of stone fortifications that seem to merge seamlessly with the surrounding landscape. The castle's location is both a blessing and a curse. Its inaccessibility meant that it could not easily be reached by enemy forces, but it also left its inhabitants cut off from the rest of the world. Even today, the castle feels isolated, a place frozen in time, its once proud defenses now reduced to ruins. In the early 7th century, Zibad Castle was the last stronghold of the Sasanian dynasty, which had been in power for over 4 centuries. The Sasanian Empire, under kings like Shapur I and Khosrow I, was a force to be reckoned with, stretching from the Iranian plateau to the western edges of the ancient world. But by the time Yazdegerd III ascended the throne in 632 AD, the empire was already in decline, weakened by internal strife, external invasions, and the relentless encroachment of the Arab forces. In the face of this overwhelming pressure, Yazdegerd retreated to Zibad Castle, hoping to find refuge and perhaps even to rally his forces for one final stand. The exact events surrounding Yazdegerd's time in the castle remain shrouded in mystery. Historical accounts vary widely, and much of what we know comes from later sources, written by those who witnessed the fall of the empire. According to some accounts, Yazdegerd was forced into exile after his defeat at the Battle of Nahavand in 642 AD, a devastating blow that left the Sasanian heartland in ruins. His retreat to Zibad was a last-ditch effort to escape the forces of the Arab Caliphate, who were swiftly sweeping through Persia, converting the region to Islam and ending the Sasanian rule. But what happened in those final days of the Sasanian dynasty? Was Yazdegerd truly betrayed by his own generals, as some sources suggest? Or did he die in the mountains in a final heroic attempt to preserve his kingdom? What is certain is that Yazdegerd's time in Zibad Castle was brief. Despite its formidable defenses, the castle could not prevent the inevitable. In 651 AD, Yazdegerd was assassinated by a group of local inhabitants, possibly in a plot orchestrated by those who had lost faith in the once great king. His death marked the definitive end of the Sasanian Empire, and with it, the ancient Persian monarchy was consigned to the annals of history. But the mystery of Zibad Castle doesn't end with the king's death. For centuries, historians and archaeologists have been drawn to this site, not only to understand the final days of the Sasanian Empire, but to explore the strange elements that surround the castle itself. The site's remote location, perched precariously on the side of a mountain, suggests that it was designed not only for defense, but for secrecy. Could there have been more to the castle than just a royal retreat? Some have speculated that Zibad Castle may have been a site of hidden knowledge, perhaps a repository of ancient texts or relics that were intended to preserve the Sasanian legacy even after the fall of the empire. Was there a hidden chamber within the castle where important documents were kept? A last attempt to safeguard the traditions and wisdom of the Sasanians? There are also rumors that the castle itself hides more than just its physical ruins. Some suggest that the area surrounding Zibad may hold underground passages or even secret rooms that have yet to be discovered. Could these hidden areas contain items of immense historical value, artifacts, manuscripts, or treasures that could shed light on the Sasanian Empire's final days? Or is Zibad Castle merely a symbol of a lost civilization, its secrets buried forever in the mountains? Beyond the physical mysteries of the castle, there is the enigma of Yazdegerd's fate itself. Despite his brief and troubled reign, Yazdegerd III remains a figure of great intrigue in Persian history. His death in the mountains of Zibad left no heir to the Sasanian throne, marking the end of an era. But his memory lived on, albeit in a fragmented way. In the centuries that followed, Persian poets, scholars, and even political leaders would reflect on the downfall of the Sasanian Empire and the tragic figure of Yazdegerd, who had watched as his once glorious kingdom fell apart. could it be that the final days of Yazdegerd were more than just the tragic end of a dynasty? Was there a deeper, more symbolic meaning to his exile in Zibad Castle, a final stand against the inevitable, a king trying to hold on to the remnants of a once great empire? And what of the local inhabitants who played a role in his assassination? Was this a mere betrayal, or was there something more complex at work? Perhaps a resistance movement driven by the changing tides of history that saw the death of the last Sasanian king as the beginning of a new era? Could there have been factions within the Sasanian court itself, divided over the fate of the empire, leading to Yazdegerd's demise? These are questions that remain unanswered, leaving us to wonder if the true story of Zibad Castle and the fall of the Sasanians will ever be fully revealed. As we stand before the weathered stones of Zibad Castle, with its silent and crumbling walls staring out over the vast and rugged mountains, we are reminded of the fleeting nature of empires and the fragility of power. The castle may now be a place of quiet solitude, but its history echoes through time, raising more questions than it answers. What secrets lie buried beneath the crumbling stones? What knowledge, if any, has been lost to the ages? The last refuge of the Sasanian king may have fallen into ruin, but the mysteries of Zibad Castle remain, a haunting reminder of a once great civilization that was swept away in the tide of history. As we leave behind the shadowed ruins of Zibad Castle and the haunting echoes of the Sasanian Empire, we now turn our attention to another enigmatic site, one that links the ancient Persian world to a much broader global network. Izadkhast, a fortress hidden deep in the Iranian foothills, was once a vital stronghold along the legendary Silk Road. Today, it lies in ruins, its fortifications crumbled, its once thriving settlement abandoned. But its legacy, like the Silk Road itself, endures as an indelible mark on the history of the ancient world. The fortress of Izadkhast stands in quiet solitude, perched on the edge of the Taq-e river valley in the Rostam region. Its walls, though weathered by centuries of exposure to the elements, still maintain a silent dignity. The fortress is built from local limestone, and its towering stone structures seem to rise naturally from the surrounding landscape, as though the mountain itself is part of the fortress. The strategic location of Izadkhast is immediately evident. It is nestled between the mountains, at the confluence of several trade routes that once converged here, offering control over both the river and the land-based routes that connected Persia to Central Asia, India, and beyond. As part of the Great Silk Road network, which spanned thousands of miles and connected the east to the west, Izadkhast was a critical outpost. The Silk Road was not just a physical route for goods, but a conduit for cultural exchange, where traders, scholars, artists, and warriors crossed paths, exchanging ideas, beliefs, and technologies. Izadkhast, like so many other fortified sites along the route, played a vital role in safeguarding these exchanges. Yet despite its importance, the history of Izadkhast remains largely elusive, fragmented like the pieces of an ancient mosaic, waiting to be reassembled. The fortress itself is impressive in its design, with multiple layers of defensive walls, towers, and gates. Its most striking feature is the large, almost impregnable main gate, which, like the rest of the fortress, was constructed with an almost obsessive attention to detail. The architectural layout reveals a clear military purpose: high walls, narrow passageways, and a series of fortifications that allowed defenders to hold off invaders with remarkable efficiency. But there are no clear records of who exactly built Izadkhast or who used it as a base of operations. Its role in the larger context of the Silk Road, its function as a trade hub, and the reason for its abandonment all remain subjects of intense speculation. Scholars generally agree that Izadkhast was established sometime during the Sasanian Empire, perhaps in the 3rd to 4th centuries AD, likely as a military outpost and a stopover for traders. Its strategic importance, nestled between Persia's heartlands and the steppes of Central Asia, made it an ideal location for controlling the flow of goods and people along one of the most important trade routes in the ancient world. Yet, what exactly the fort was used for is unclear. Some suggest it served as a customs checkpoint, regulating the movement of goods and travelers along the Silk Road. Others argue it may have been part of a larger network of defensive structures designed to protect the empire's borders from incursions, particularly from nomadic tribes to the north. But the mysteries of Izadkhast go far beyond its role as a military outpost. The site also carries the weight of more speculative theories, ones that stretch beyond the established historical narrative and into the realm of the unknown. Some believe that Izadkhast may have been a place of deeper significance, a site imbued with religious or esoteric importance. After all, the Silk Road was not just a trade route for commodities, but a vehicle for the exchange of ideas, particularly those concerning religion and philosophy. In ancient Persia, where Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, and other beliefs coexisted and influenced one another, could Izadkhast have served as a crossroads of spiritual exchange as well as a marketplace for goods? A particularly intriguing theory suggests that Izadkhast might have been more than just a military fortress. It could have been a place of refuge for a secretive group, perhaps a religious order or a sect, that sought to protect its esoteric knowledge. Given its remote location and strong fortifications, could this site have been used to safeguard sacred texts, artifacts, or knowledge that might have been considered dangerous or controversial? Could there have been hidden chambers within the fortress, buried deep within its labyrinthine walls containing ancient manuscripts or relics? No archaeological evidence has yet confirmed such theories, but the possibility remains tantalizing. Another theory revolves around the unusual design of the fortress itself. The layout of the fort, with its multiple defensive layers, high towers, and expansive walls, suggests that Izadkhast was meant to be more than just a functional military base. It may have been a statement of power, an architectural masterpiece that demonstrated the wealth and influence of those who controlled the Silk Road. Could the fortress have been built not just for defense, but as a symbol of Persia's role as the center of the ancient world, standing proudly as a monument to the empire's might and cultural significance? Despite these theories, the archaeological record is sparse, and much about Izadkhast remains unknown. Few excavations have taken place, and much of the site remains inaccessible due to its remote location. This has led to some persistent rumors about undiscovered parts of the fortress, hidden chambers, secret tunnels, or even entire sections of the fort that have yet to be explored. Could it be that, beneath the crumbling walls and stonework, there is more to Izadkhast than meets the eye? What might lie buried within the fortress, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered? Is there a deeper, hidden history to this place, one that could reveal secrets of the ancient world that have long been forgotten? As we ponder the mysteries of Izadkhast, we are reminded of the fragility of history. The Silk Road, a network of trade routes that spanned continents, has been described as the conduit of civilizations, a place where the world's great cultures met, mingled, and left their mark. But for all the treasures and knowledge that traveled along these routes, much of it was lost to time, destroyed, forgotten, or buried beneath the sands of history. The ruins of Izadkhast, though weathered by centuries of neglect, stand as a symbol of this lost world, a reminder that the most significant parts of human history are often the hardest to trace, the most difficult to understand. What was the true purpose of Izadkhast? Was it simply a fortress along the Silk Road, or did it hold deeper, more profound significance? Could the fortress have been a hub of ancient wisdom, a place where knowledge was protected from the ravages of time and conflict? And if so, what knowledge might still lie hidden within its walls? waiting to be rediscovered. The answers to these questions may never be fully revealed. But as we stand before the ruins of Izadkhast, we are reminded of the vast, untold history that surrounds us. A history that is waiting to be unearthed and perhaps lost once again. The mysteries of this ancient Silk Road fortress remain, inviting us to delve deeper, to explore further, and to wonder what might still be hidden beneath the stones of this forgotten outpost. As we leave behind the shadowed history of Izadkhast, we turn now to one of the most celebrated yet enigmatic sites in the ancient Persian world, the royal gardens of Pasargadae. Nestled in the heart of Iran, these gardens were designed by none other than Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Achaemenid Empire. A place of both historical grandeur and spiritual significance, Pasargadae remains an enduring symbol of Persian ingenuity, wealth, and power. Yet, despite the centuries of scholarship that have sought to unravel its mysteries, the true purpose of its royal gardens remains elusive. What exactly was their function, and how did they fit into the broader narrative of Persian kingship and cosmology? Was it merely a symbol of earthly luxury, or did it represent something far deeper, something far more profound? Pasargadae, the first capital of the Achaemenid Empire, is set within a sprawling plain, the horizon broken only by the distant mountains and the gentle curve of the rivers that wind through the land. The layout of the site is impressive, a carefully planned city designed to reflect the grandeur of Cyrus's reign. At the center of this ancient capital, however, lies the royal gardens, a sprawling landscape that seems almost out of place in the otherwise arid region of Fars. What makes Pasargadae's gardens so unique is not just their size or beauty, but the meticulous care with which they were constructed. These gardens, covering an extensive area, were designed with a level of precision that demonstrates a deep understanding of both art and architecture. Yet their purpose remains a subject of intense debate. Were they merely ornamental, designed to showcase the splendor of the Persian king? Or did they serve a more sacred or symbolic function? The gardens of Pasargadae are built in the classical Persian style, which can be best described as a paradise garden, a concept that would later become a hallmark of Persian landscape architecture. Characterized by the use of water, shade, and geometric order, these gardens were designed not only for beauty, but for harmony. The water channels that crisscross the gardens, along with their carefully arranged plantings, create a sense of balance, while the overall design suggests an intimate relationship between nature and human intervention. It is a place where the natural world has been shaped to reflect the divine, a place where Cyrus himself may have walked, contemplating both his earthly and spiritual reign. Yet, to merely describe the gardens of Pasargadae as an aesthetic achievement would be to miss the point entirely. These gardens were not just a showcase of royal power. They were designed as an expression of the king's divine authority. The concept of paradise, a cultivated, lush garden irrigated by the hand of man, yet still connected to the heavens, was central to the Achaemenid worldview. The gardens of Pasargadae are thought to represent the very essence of order and harmony, a microcosm of the empire itself. But was this their true purpose, or was there something deeper, hidden within their design, that spoke to the king's understanding of the cosmos and his place within it? Scholars have long debated the spiritual significance of the gardens. Some posit that the gardens were a physical manifestation of the Persian king's divine mandate, his right to rule as a representative of the gods on earth. According to this view, the garden's carefully planned design reflected the king's attempt to recreate the primordial Garden of Eden, a paradise on earth that symbolized the perfection of creation. This would be consistent with the broader theme of Persian kingship, which saw the ruler as a bridge between humanity and the divine. But could there be more to it? Could the design of the gardens have symbolized something more specific, such as the Persian vision of the cosmos itself, The layout of Pasargadae's gardens might hold clues to their deeper meaning. Divided into 4 quadrants, each with its own distinct water channel, the gardens are a perfect representation of the classical Persian concept of Chahar Bagh, a garden divided into 4 parts, with water running through the middle. The number 4, in many ancient cultures, was associated with completeness, wholeness, and the 4 cardinal directions. In Persian cosmology, the number 4 also held deep symbolic significance, representing the 4 elements of earth, air, fire, and water, and the harmony between them. Was this symbolic geometry intended to reflect the order of the universe, with the king at the center, controlling the forces of nature? Was the garden, in essence, a reflection of the emperor's role as the cosmic steward, tasked with maintaining the balance of the world? Yet, even as we explore these possibilities, we must also consider the more mysterious and speculative elements of the garden's design. Some theorists have suggested that Pasargadae's gardens were not just a royal retreat or a divine symbol, but rather a site for sacred rituals or ceremonies. Could the gardens have been used for rituals tied to the ancient Persian religion of Zoroastrianism? This is a theory that has gained traction in recent years, as scholars explore the connection between the royal gardens and the religious practices of the time. Zoroastrianism, with its emphasis on the duality of good and evil, light and dark, and its strong connection to nature, could have influenced the design of the gardens in subtle ways. The water channels, the placement of the trees, the choice of plants, all could have held symbolic meaning within the context of Zoroastrian beliefs. Perhaps the gardens were not only a physical paradise, but a spiritual one as well, offering the king a sacred space in which to commune with the divine and reinforce his role as the protector of order and justice. Even more intriguing are the reports of mystical or esoteric knowledge being associated with Pasargadae. Some have suggested that the gardens, with their precise design and advanced water systems, may have been part of a secret tradition, one that was only understood by a select few. Was there hidden knowledge encoded within the garden's design? Could the layout itself have been a form of sacred geometry? A code that only those initiated into the mysteries of Persian kingship could fully comprehend? These theories are speculative, to be sure, but they invite us to think beyond the conventional interpretations of Pasargadae's royal gardens. As we stand in the ruins of Pasargadae today, it is easy to imagine the ancient king walking among these gardens, his eyes turning toward the flowing water, his thoughts contemplating both the heavens and the earth. What did he see when he gazed upon this lush landscape, so carefully cultivated and controlled? What role did these gardens play in his larger vision of empire, and how did they reflect the cosmic order he was meant to maintain? While we may never fully understand the true purpose of the royal gardens, one thing is certain: they were more than just a symbol of wealth or luxury. They were an expression of something far deeper, something tied to the very essence of Persian kingship and the divine order that Cyrus the Great sought to embody. And so, as we continue to uncover the mysteries of Pasargadae, we are left with a haunting question. What might still be hidden beneath the gardens, buried in the soil, or encoded within their design? Could there be a deeper, more profound meaning to this ancient paradise, one that we have yet to fully uncover? The answers may lie beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered, just as the legacy of Cyrus the Great remains, an enduring mystery, waiting for its final revelation. As we leave behind the royal gardens of Pasargadae, where water and nature converge in perfect harmony, we now turn to a place where the eternal flame of Persian spirituality still burns bright, Yazd and its ancient fire temples. Nestled in the heart of the Iranian plateau, Yazd is a city that seems to exist outside of time, its labyrinthine streets and mud brick structures casting long shadows across the desert. Yet beneath the city's historic veneer lies a deeper connection to an ancient belief system that dates back thousands of years. a belief system that continues to echo through the centuries, Zoroastrianism. At the heart of Yazd's spiritual life are its fire temples, places where fire, the sacred element of Zoroastrianism, burns continuously, symbolizing the divine presence and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. These fire temples, though centuries old, are more than just remnants of a bygone religion. They are living symbols of a faith that has persisted despite centuries of change, war, and foreign influence. Here in Yazd, the flames of Zoroastrianism continue to flicker, a testament to the resilience of this ancient faith. But what is it about these fire temples that has allowed them to endure through the ages? And what secrets might they still hold, hidden within their sacred walls? Yazd's fire temples are remarkable not just for their spiritual significance, but for their architectural beauty. The city is home to some of the best preserved fire temples in the world, each one a unique fusion of religious purpose and Persian architectural ingenuity. The temples are usually simple, yet striking structures, often with a distinctive circular shape that evokes the symbolism of the sun, a celestial body central to Zoroastrian cosmology. The most iconic feature of these temples is the central flame, which burns in a sacred chamber known as the Atash Barum, or Fire of Victory. This flame is not merely symbolic, it is believed to have been continuously burning for centuries, a physical manifestation of the divine light that Zoroastrians believe sustains all life. The most famous of Yazd's fire temples, the Atash Barum of Yazd, is located in the heart of the city and is one of the oldest fire temples still in operation today. According to tradition, the flame within this temple was first kindled over 1,500 years ago and has never been extinguished. It is said that the fire is fed by the sacred fires of 4 different sources, each one representing a different element: earth, air, water, and fire. This blending of elements is an important concept in Zoroastrianism, where fire is seen as a purifier and a protector, standing in direct opposition to the forces of chaos and darkness. But while the fire temples of Yazd are famous for their enduring flame, they also conceal mysteries that go beyond their religious function. One of the most intriguing aspects of these temples is the question of their origins. The exact date of the construction of Yazd's fire temples remains uncertain, though it is widely believed that they were established during the Sasanian Empire, 224 to 651 AD, when Zoroastrianism was the state religion of Persia. However, the roots of the faith itself stretch much deeper, possibly to the 6th century BC, long before the Sasanian dynasty. This raises the question, where did the idea of sacred fire come from? Some scholars speculate that the reverence for fire in Zoroastrianism has its origins in the early religious practices of ancient Persia, long before Zoroaster, or Zarathustra, first formulated the principles of the faith. It is possible that fire was already considered a symbol of divine presence in pre-Zoroastrian Persian religion, and that Zoroastrianism merely codified and ritualized this ancient belief. Fire, after all, is one of the most elemental forces in nature, pure, destructive, and life-giving all at once. Could it be that the sacred fire of Yazd's temples is a direct continuation of a much older pre-Zoroastrian tradition? Equally mysterious is the way in which these fire temples were constructed. The design of the temples, with their circular chambers and open skyward domes, is thought to represent the cosmic order of the universe. The central fire, burning brightly within these domed structures, is not merely a physical flame but a representation of the divine spark that sustains all existence. Yet, what is even more intriguing is the fact that the fire temples of Yazd, unlike many other religious structures, were built to withstand the harsh conditions of the desert. The structures are designed to maximize airflow and circulation, ensuring that the fire is never extinguished, even in the hottest and driest of conditions. This speaks to a deep understanding of the environment, an understanding that suggests the Zoroastrians were not just practicing a religion, but living in harmony with the natural world. There is also an enigmatic connection between the fire temples and the region's geography. Yazd lies in the heart of Iran's central desert, a place of extreme heat and aridity. The city's very existence is a testament to the ancient Persians' ability to adapt to and conquer their environment. Could it be that the placement of the fire temples was intentional, a way of connecting the divine fire to the harsh desert landscape? Zoroastrianism, with its dualistic cosmology of light versus darkness, could be seen as a reflection of the struggle between civilization and the untamed forces of nature. Was the fire temple itself a metaphor for the divine order, an oasis of light and life amidst the overwhelming darkness and desolation of the desert? Yet, the mysteries surrounding Yazd's fire temples are not confined to their construction and purpose. The rituals associated with the fire are shrouded in secrecy. Zoroastrian priests, known as mobeds, are the only ones allowed to tend to the sacred fire, and they do so with great care and reverence. The process of maintaining the fire is considered sacred, with specific rituals governing how the flame must be fed, preserved, and protected. There is, however, very little known about the specifics of these rituals. Much of the knowledge remains hidden within the Zoroastrian community. Could there be esoteric meanings embedded within these rituals, symbolic acts that go beyond mere religious practice and into the realm of secret knowledge? Some scholars suggest that the fire itself could be seen as a symbol of the divine wisdom that burns within the hearts of the faithful. Is it possible that the rituals surrounding the fire hold deeper, mystical significance, perhaps even a hidden understanding of the universe, the forces of good and evil, and the soul's ultimate journey? Even more intriguing is the role of Yazd's fire temples in the broader context of Persian history. The city of Yazd has long been a center of Zoroastrianism, and its fire temples have withstood centuries of invasions, conversions, and political change. As the Islamic conquest of Persia in the 7th century AD swept away the Sasanian Empire and brought an end to Zoroastrianism as the dominant religion, the fire temples of Yazd became one of the last strongholds of the ancient faith. In the face of persecution, the Zoroastrians of Yazd maintained their sacred traditions, keeping the fire burning even when it seemed that the flames of their faith might be extinguished forever. Today, Yazd's fire temples stand as a living testament to the endurance of Zoroastrianism, a faith that has survived for over 2 millennia despite the odds. But as we look upon the flickering flames of the temples, we are left with lingering questions. What does the eternal fire truly represent? Is it a symbol of divine purity, or is it something more profound? Something that connects the ancient Zoroastrian priests to the secrets of the cosmos? What hidden knowledge might still reside within these temples, and how much of it has been lost to time? The mysteries of Yazd's fire temples continue to beckon us, challenging us to look deeper into the flames and wonder what secrets they might still hold. As we leave behind the sacred fires of Yazd, we venture into the heart of the Iranian desert, to one of the most striking and mysterious landmarks of ancient Persia, the Bam Citadel. Known as Arg-e Bam, this colossal fortress, a sprawling labyrinth of mud-brick walls and towers, stands amidst the arid expanse of the Kerman province. Its sheer scale and enigmatic nature stir a sense of awe, but as with many ancient sites, questions surround its origins, its builders, and its ultimate purpose. Was it simply a military stronghold, or was it something far more significant? The mystery of who constructed the Bam Citadel and why it remains so vital to understanding ancient Persian civilization beckons us to look deeper, to explore the secrets that remain locked within its ancient walls. Bam Citadel is situated on a rocky plateau that rises dramatically from the surrounding desert floor. As you approach the site, its towering mud brick walls seem to emerge from the earth itself, blending seamlessly with the desert landscape. The fortress is a vast complex, covering over 6 hectares, with a series of interconnected courtyards, living quarters, defensive walls, and towers. The architecture is a remarkable feat of engineering, designed to withstand the harsh conditions of the Iranian desert, while also offering a sophisticated layout that served both residential and defensive purposes. What is perhaps most striking is the use of mud brick as the primary building material, an ancient technique that, despite the passage of time, has proven resilient against the forces of nature. The citadel itself, though weathered and scarred, remains an enduring symbol of the ingenuity of its creators. Despite its monumental presence, the origins of the Bam citadel remain shrouded in mystery. While scholars generally agree that it was built sometime during the Sasanian period, 224 to 651 AD, the identity of the people who constructed it is far from certain. No definitive historical records have been found to explain who the original builders were or why such a grand structure was created in this particular location. Some scholars suggest that the citadel was a military stronghold, designed to defend the region from nomadic invaders or to serve as a base of operations for Sasanian rulers. The strategic positioning of the citadel, perched on a plateau with commanding views of the surrounding landscape, supports this theory. The location would have allowed its defenders to control the vital trade routes that passed through the area, as well as provide a secure refuge in times of war. Yet, while the military explanation is plausible, it fails to fully account for the complexity of the site. The vastness of the citadel, with its intricate layout of residential quarters, storage rooms, and cultural spaces, suggests that it may have served purposes beyond just defense. Could it have been a center of administration, governance, or trade? Was it perhaps a royal retreat, designed as a place where the Persian elite could escape the pressures of the capital? And if the Bam citadel was truly a center of power, what significance did it hold within the broader context of ancient Persian society? Intriguingly, there are theories that suggest the Bam citadel could have served a religious purpose as well. Some researchers propose that it might have been a site for Zoroastrian rituals, given its proximity to ancient centers of Zoroastrianism. The idea that a fortress could also have been a place of religious significance is not entirely out of the question, particularly in the context of Persian civilization, where religion and politics were often deeply intertwined. The citadel's fortified walls and secluded location would have made it an ideal place for religious leaders to conduct sacred ceremonies or protect sacred relics. Could it have been a pilgrimage site or perhaps the headquarters of a religious order within the Sasanian Empire? There is also the mystery of the citadel's construction. While the use of mud brick was common in ancient Persia, the level of sophistication in the building's design is extraordinary. The layout of the citadel, with its network of narrow streets, tunnels, and hidden chambers, hints at a deep understanding of both architecture and urban planning. The way in which the fortress was designed to keep the interior cool during the blistering desert heat, through clever use of shade, ventilation, and the strategic placement of water systems, is a testament to the builders' ingenuity. But who exactly were the builders of Bam citadel? Were they skilled craftsmen from the heart of the Sasanian Empire, or were they perhaps local tribes who possessed their own unique architectural traditions? Was there a single architect responsible for the citadel's design, or was it the product of generations of evolving knowledge passed down through the ages? The lack of concrete evidence about the identity of the builders has led some scholars to speculate that the citadel may have been built by a now-forgotten civilization or group. Could the builders of Bam citadel have been part of an ancient culture that predated the Sasanians? There are rumors of older layers of civilization beneath the citadel, suggesting that the site may have been inhabited long before the Sasanian era. Some have even speculated that the citadel could be a remnant of the ancient Achaemenid Empire, although no definitive evidence has been found to support this. The possibility that Bam Citadel was constructed by a people or civilization whose knowledge and techniques have been lost to history raises fascinating questions about what we still don't know about the ancient world. As we consider the mysteries surrounding the Bam Citadel, it's impossible not to think about the broader implications of its existence. This was a place that thrived in the heart of the desert, a remote stronghold that defied the harshness of its environment. Its very construction suggests a society capable of great feats of engineering, but also a society deeply connected to the land, its people, and its traditions. Could the citadel have been more than just a military fortress or a religious center? Could it have been a symbol of Persian resilience and ingenuity, a reflection of the people's ability to conquer nature and create something lasting in an unforgiving landscape? The most mysterious aspect of Bam Citadel, however, is the silence that surrounds it. While we can speculate about its builders, its purpose, and its history, much of what made the citadel a living, breathing entity has been lost to time. The site was severely damaged by a devastating earthquake in 2003, which destroyed much of its structures and artifacts. Though efforts have been made to preserve the site and reconstruct parts of the citadel, a significant portion of its history has been irretrievably lost. What knowledge, what secrets, were contained within the buildings that collapsed in that earthquake? What relics or inscriptions might have held the key to understanding the true nature of the citadel? The unanswered questions about the Bam Citadel continue to haunt those who study it. Was it built by a group of visionary architects who sought to leave behind a legacy that would transcend the ages? Was it the product of a single culture or the convergence of multiple influences? And what exactly was its role in the broader Persian world? Was it merely a fortress, a refuge in times of war, or something more? A place of spiritual significance, a center of knowledge, or perhaps even a symbol of something far greater than any one empire? The answers may never come, but the mystery of the Bam Citadel endures. As the winds continue to blow across the desert, stirring the ancient dust that has settled upon its walls, we are left to wonder what still lies hidden within this forgotten fortress, waiting to be uncovered. What truths might remain buried beneath the ruins of Bam Citadel, waiting for a new generation of explorers to unlock them? The questions are many, and the mysteries are deep. But as long as the citadel stands, the answers will remain just beyond our reach, waiting to be discovered, if only we dare to look. As we leave behind the austere walls of the Bam Citadel, we journey further back in time, to a moment when the people of ancient Persia were laying the foundations for the great civilizations that would rise in the centuries to come. Here, on a quiet, sun-bleached hillside, we encounter a site that speaks of wealth, power, and mystery. Tepe-Chalo, a burial site that offers us a rare glimpse into the lives of the elite of ancient Persia, dating back over 3,000 years. In this place, the bones of the dead, interwoven with treasures and intricate artifacts, hold stories that continue to elude even the most seasoned archaeologists. Tepe-Chalo is located in the foothills of the Zagros Mountains, in the fertile region of southwestern Iran. The site itself is striking. A series of ancient mounds, partially covered by overgrown vegetation, each one a silent witness to the rituals of a long-forgotten people. The remains of what were once elaborate burial chambers can be found scattered across the landscape, along with a host of objects that reveal a culture far more sophisticated than many would expect for such an early period in history. When the burial site was first uncovered, the archaeological team was astonished by the sheer quantity and quality of the artifacts found within the tombs. Gold and silver jewelry, intricately decorated pottery, bronze tools, and weapons. These were the possessions of the elite, individuals of great importance who had been buried with everything they would need for the afterlife. But beyond the obvious wealth and material opulence, there is something far more profound in these discoveries. What do these burial practices tell us about the beliefs and social structures of this ancient civilization? And what secrets might still be hidden beneath the surface of these mounds, waiting to reveal themselves? The most striking feature of the Tepe Chalo burial site is the complexity of its elite burial rituals. The bodies of the deceased were placed in massive stone cists, which were then covered with a layer of earth and stone. Accompanying them were objects of immense value, items clearly meant to symbolize the deceased's elevated status. These were not simply practical items for use in the afterlife, but rather symbolic markers of power and prestige. Among the most extraordinary finds were the finely crafted weapons, swords and daggers, some inlaid with precious stones, others with intricate patterns that suggest they were not simply functional, but also ceremonial. The high-quality pottery, often adorned with intricate designs, hints at the cultural and artistic sophistication of the society that created them. There is a sense of reverence in the way these items were placed in the tombs, as though they were not just material goods, but keys to another world, an afterlife where the deceased would continue to wield the power and prestige they had enjoyed in life. The choice of burial objects is striking not only for their quality but for their symbolic meaning. The presence of weapons, for instance, is a clear indication that these were individuals of some military or political importance. But there is more to be uncovered here. Why were some of the bodies buried with specific types of jewelry or ceremonial items? Was there a deeper significance to the materials chosen? Perhaps a belief in the power of certain metals or gems to protect or guide the soul after death? One of the most compelling aspects of Tepe Chalo is the question of who these individuals were. While there are no definitive records to tell us their names or titles, the scale and grandeur of their burials suggest they were members of a highly structured society, perhaps a ruling elite or a priestly class, involved in the governance and religious life of their people. The size of the tombs and the richness of the accompanying artifacts imply a society in which wealth and status were closely tied to political and religious power. Was this the early stage of what would later become the great Persian empires? Or was it a distinct yet related civilization with its own traditions and leadership structures? Scholars have long debated the precise cultural identity of the people buried at Tepe Chalo. Some argue that they were early Persians, members of the Proto-Persian groups that would later form the backbone of the Achaemenid Empire. Others suggest that the individuals buried here may have been part of a different but related group of people, perhaps a local elite who, though culturally connected to the rising Persian kingdoms, had their own distinct traditions. The rich burial offerings and the sophisticated craftsmanship of the objects found at Tepe Chalo suggest a people with considerable influence, and it is possible that they held sway over a region much larger than what we see in the remnants of the archaeological record. Adding another layer of intrigue to the site is the enigmatic symbolism found in the artifacts. Some of the pottery and jewelry discovered at Tepe Chalo features intricate motifs and designs that are not immediately recognizable to modern scholars. These symbols, which appear on the pottery shards and the surface of the jewelry, may provide a glimpse into the religious or cosmological beliefs of the people buried there. Were these designs a form of personal protection for the deceased, or did they represent a deeper spiritual significance? Could they be remnants of a belief system that predated the more well-documented Zoroastrian religion of later Persian empires? Some have suggested that these symbols might be connected to early forms of Iranian religion, perhaps a precursor to the dualistic cosmology that would later define Zoroastrianism. One of the most mysterious aspects of Tepe Chalo is the presence of certain items that appear to have been carefully placed within the tombs but are not of local origin. Some of the objects found at the site, particularly certain types of beads and imported materials, suggest that the people buried there may have had access to trade routes that extended far beyond the Iranian plateau. Did the elite of Tepe Chalo have contact with other civilizations, perhaps in Mesopotamia or along the ancient Silk Road? Could the tombs of Tepe Chalo hold the remnants of cultural exchanges that have long since faded from the historical record? The presence of foreign goods raises questions not only about the level of trade in the region, but also about the potential for more complex, cross-cultural interactions in the ancient world. As with many ancient sites, the true meaning of Tepe Chalo may never be fully understood. What were the cultural and spiritual beliefs of the people buried there? Were they the forebears of the great Persian empires that followed, or were they part of a separate, though related, civilization? The lack of written records leaves us with only the physical remnants of their lives, which we must interpret through the lens of archaeology. And yet, even with all of our advances in technology and scholarship, there is still a profound sense of mystery surrounding this site. What knowledge have we lost? What might still be buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? There is also the question of why such elaborate burials were necessary. What was it about the people of Tepe Chalo that required them to be buried with such wealth and grandeur? Was this an expression of their social power, a statement of their importance within the larger cultural and political landscape? Or was there a deeper, more personal meaning to these elaborate funerary practices? What did the people of Tepe Chalo believe about death? And how did they prepare for the journey to the afterlife? Was the grandeur of their burials meant to ensure that they would be remembered by future generations? Or was it an effort to ensure their passage into the next life? As we stand in the shadow of the ancient mounds at Tepe Chalo, we are left with more questions than answers. The wealth, sophistication, and mystery of these ancient burials continue to spark our imagination and invite speculation. What truths might still be hidden beneath the earth at Tepe Chalo? What does it tell us about the ancient Persians, and what can it teach us about the cultures that preceded them? For now, these questions remain unresolved, waiting for the moment when the secrets of Tepe Chalo will finally be revealed, perhaps when we least expect it. As we reflect on the mysteries of Tepe Chalo, it becomes increasingly clear that this site holds more than just physical remnants of a long-forgotten people. The tombs, artifacts, and symbols found here are pieces of a much larger puzzle, one that reaches deep into the origins of Persian civilization and the ancient world. The wealth and sophistication of the burial practices suggest that those laid to rest at Tepe Chalo were not mere commoners, but elite figures, individuals whose lives were entwined with the broader forces of their time. But what do these graves really tell us about the people who built them? Are these tombs an expression of the ancient Persian rulers we know, or do they point to an even older tradition that may have influenced the great empires to come? The legacy of Tepe Chalo, like the symbols on the pottery and the foreign objects found in the tombs, is a testament to the complexity of the ancient world, one in which trade, spirituality, and cultural exchange played as much a role as military conquest and territorial expansion. Perhaps only by continuing to dig into the layers of history that have yet to be uncovered can we fully comprehend the place of Tepe Chalo in the broader tapestry of ancient Persia and the ancient world itself. Until then, its secrets remain buried, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. As we continue our journey across the vast and ancient lands of Persia, we now find ourselves on the edges of one of the most enigmatic and awe-inspiring landscapes on Earth, the Lut Plateau. Known as the Dasht-e Lut, this expansive desert is one of the driest, hottest, and most inhospitable places in the world. Yet, within its barren, wind-swept terrain lies a mystery that has baffled explorers, archaeologists, and scholars for decades. The giant desert lines that stretch across the plateau like ancient scars on the land. These markings, sometimes seen as giant grooves, patterns, or straight lines, are so massive that they can be seen from space, yet their purpose and origin remain largely unknown. The Lut Plateau, located in southeastern Iran, is a place where the earth seems to converge with the sky in a seemingly endless horizon of desolation. The land is cracked and dry, with salt formations and towering sand dunes that rise like sentinels against the relentless sun. In this place, life is scarce, and the air shimmers with the oppressive heat. Despite the seemingly inhospitable environment, these lines, etched into the very fabric of the desert, suggest that there may have been more here than just the desert's timeless beauty. What are these lines? Who made them? And more intriguingly, why? The most famous of these lines are located in the central and eastern parts of the Lut Plateau, where they have captured the attention of both local populations and global researchers alike. The lines vary in appearance and scale. Some stretch for hundreds of kilometers, while others are relatively short. Some are straight, others curved, and still others form intricate patterns or networks. In some places, the lines appear as long, narrow furrows, while in others, they take on the shape of broad, shallow trenches. The lines can be seen clearly from the air, and modern satellite imagery has revealed their extent, suggesting a level of precision that is difficult to fathom given the technology available to whoever created them. For centuries, the Lut Plateau has been a place of mystery. Local legends speak of ancient civilizations whose knowledge of astronomy, geometry, and engineering allowed them to shape the desert in ways that we are still trying to comprehend. But these ancient stories, though fascinating, have done little to explain the true origins and purpose of the desert lines. It is clear that these markings were not the result of natural processes like wind erosion or the shifting of sand dunes. The lines are too straight, too deliberate in their formation, and they appear to follow a level of precision that suggests they were intentionally created by human hands, or at least guided by human intention. One prevailing theory is that the lines were created as part of a massive, ancient irrigation system. The idea is that the people who lived in this arid region thousands of years ago may have used these lines to channel water from distant sources, directing it through the desert to feed agricultural settlements and provide life-giving resources in an otherwise barren land. Irrigation systems, in fact, have long been a hallmark of ancient civilizations, and the use of large-scale water management techniques is well documented in places like Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. Could it be that the same ingenuity was applied here, in the heart of Persia, to tame the desert? But this theory has its limitations. For one, there is no clear evidence that any such water sources existed near the desert lines, and the scale of the lines, stretching for miles across an empty desert, seems far beyond the requirements of even the most ambitious irrigation project. In addition, the straight lines that cut through the desert do not appear to follow the natural contours of the land, nor do they align with any known watercourses or natural features. The lack of any obvious water infrastructure nearby raises questions about whether these lines could have been created for a more abstract or symbolic purpose, rather than for purely practical reasons. Another theory suggests that the lines may have been astronomical or calendrical in nature. The ancient Persians, like many other ancient cultures, had a deep connection to the stars and the celestial bodies. The position of the sun, moon, and stars was of immense importance in their religious and cultural practices. Could the desert lines have been designed to track celestial events, such as the rising and setting of specific stars or planets, or perhaps the movement of the sun through the year? Some researchers speculate that the lines could have been markers for solstices or equinoxes, or even a form of ancient observatory used for tracking the heavens. If this is the case, then the lines would not have been intended to manipulate the land, but rather the sky, aligning the human world with the cosmos in a profound and sacred way. Yet there are still other, more speculative ideas. Some have suggested that the lines may be part of an ancient ritual landscape, sacred pathways leading to specific locations where rituals or ceremonies were performed. The patterns, the lines, the long stretches of geometry etched into the land, could they have been part of an ancient pilgrimage route, a road to the divine, or perhaps a series of markers denoting spiritual significance? The sheer scale and precision of the lines certainly lend themselves to the idea that these were not ordinary markings, but something that had deep meaning for the people who created them. There is even a fringe theory that the lines are remnants of an ancient lost civilization, one that existed far earlier than any known cultures in the region. According to this theory, the people who built the lines were part of a forgotten culture with knowledge far beyond their time, capable of creating these grand markings as a form of communication, or even as a means of navigating the desert. Some claim that the lines were part of a much larger network of similar features, scattered across the vast expanse of the Iranian plateau. Could it be that there was once a highly advanced civilization here, now lost to history, leaving behind only these cryptic markings as a testament to their ingenuity? Is it possible that this civilization had knowledge that we have yet to uncover, with technologies or philosophies that could reshape our understanding of ancient Persia? Despite the various theories, no conclusive evidence has been found to explain the true purpose of the Lot Plateau lines. The desert itself has a way of concealing its secrets, and the passage of time has erased much of the evidence that might have shed light on the mystery. What we are left with are the lines themselves, silent, enduring traces of a past that we are still struggling to understand. In the vast emptiness of the desert, they stand as a reminder of a civilization that once thrived, but whose story is now buried beneath the sands of time. As we look at the massive, ancient lines of the Lut Plateau, we are forced to confront the fact that some mysteries may never be solved. What exactly were these lines used for? Who created them, and why? Were they a practical tool for survival in the desert, or were they a symbolic manifestation of the human desire to connect with something greater than oneself, the divine, the celestial, or the infinite? The mystery remains unsolved, and perhaps it always will. But in the silence of the desert, the lines of the Lot Plateau continue to whisper their secrets, secrets that may yet be uncovered if we dare to listen closely enough. What else might still be hidden in the sands, waiting for the right time to reveal itself? The answers lie somewhere out there, beneath the heat of the sun and the cool embrace of the desert winds. As we stand in the shadow of these ancient lines, we are reminded of the impermanence of human knowledge. The desert is a harsh and unforgiving place, and it has the power to both preserve and conceal. For centuries, these markings have silently endured, yet we remain unable to fully understand their purpose or their creators. What is certain, however, is that they hold a story waiting to be uncovered, if only the right conditions arise. Could there be more secrets hidden in the vastness of the Lot Plateau, waiting for new generations of explorers to decipher? Or perhaps these lines are meant to remain just as they are, cryptic, enigmatic, and forever elusive. In the end, the Lut Plateau may never fully surrender its secrets. It may be that we are simply not meant to know everything about the ancient people who left these markings behind. Still, the mystery continues to spark curiosity and imagination. It draws us to the desert and beckons us to wonder about the civilizations that once thrived there, leaving behind only their traces on the land. What other mysteries lie beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? Only time, and the continuing efforts of those who seek to uncover the past, will tell. Until then, the lines will continue to stand as silent witnesses to a history that stretches back far beyond our understanding, waiting for the day when we might finally be able to hear their secrets,